Hello and welcome to another episode of Do Go On. My name is Dave Warnicky, and as always, I'm here with Jess Perkins and Matt Stewart.
David, hello.
Jess, hello. Dave, hello. How good is it to be alive?
It's one of the best things to be alive.
I love December. It's the most festive time of year outside of block.
It's a real sort of slow curve out of block.
Yeah.
Yeah,
ease yourself out of block.
Yeah.
We got the Christmas season, then the New Year's season, and then,
Back to
reality.
bullshit, I guess.
9 months of horrible months.
Depression.
But blocks, the beauty of block now being 2 months long means that we're only ever 10 months away from a block.
That's right.
At the
countdown
most.
begins
Yep.
January 1st.
Yes, it's so soon. But this is the furthest time between blocks right now.
Yes.
First week out of block.
That's true. Ugh.
But what a great year we've had. What a great year. The top 9 this year. My goodness.
All bangers. And Dave, we got you to do this week's episode because we were like, we can't have a hard landing. We can't crash back down to earth. We need to go out of block with a bang. Mm-hmm. And have you done that? Before you get into it, Jess, do you want to explain what the show is?
Yeah, well, if you're just joining us, you've joined us at the end of our most blocktacular time of year.
Yeah.
But there's no time to explain what that means. Go back to the last 9 episodes and we'll answer it.
They're probably better than this one.
No, no way.
No.
No.
This is classic. This is basically the 10th Beatle at this stage.
Well, what this show is each week, one of the three of us researches a topic, usually suggested by a listener. We go away, we write up a little report about it, we bring it to the other two who listen respectfully, politely, and never go on inane, bullshitty riffs.
Ever.
We never mock each other, and no fun is had.
No.
And we always...
We certainly don't ever be ironic.
No.
We
Or
say
interrupt.
what we mean.
And we usually start with a question. Dave,
Okay.
do you have a question?
My question is, 3 of my topics this year, 2022, have been based in which European country? I've had a little obsession with this place.
Ooh, can you say it again?
3 of my topics this year have been based in which European
Italy.
country?
I was going to say Italy, but not Italy.
Where was Mount Vesuvius again?
That's
That was Italy.
Okay. I know you're always obsessed with Iceland.
We haven't mentioned it enough this year, but big
What's
shout
he
out.
done this year?
Yeah, nothing.
What have you done? Not just with your year, but with your life.
What about en français?
Oui, senor.
Is it français?
It's France.
Oh.
France is
It's
the answer.
France.
Why stop there? Let's go for 4.
Okay, great.
You do love France.
God, you love France.
You love French culture.
Been there twice this year. Love it.
France. It's funny in the East Coast accent, isn't it?
I love France.
France.
I love the way they dance.
South Australia, France.
Ah.
You know?
Oh,
That's the
I see.
difference.
France, that's classier. France.
Western Australia say France, I believe. France.
Oh, France.
Yeah.
Oh, we're going to France in the summertime.
Whatever.
Yes, we might pop over to France.
For a
and,
dance.
Yeah, have a dance in France.
If we have the chance.
Maybe we'll hit up the slopes. Just have a good time. Maybe ride a goat. We'll see if there's any goats around. We might have a little ride on a
I
goat.
think he's lost the,
Yeah,
he's lost the
I
riff
think
now.
when he hit slope, he lost it for me.
Yeah, but I thought maybe he could recover it, and he couldn't, and that's on me
Well,
for thinking he could.
He got distracted.
I think I was doing a different riff, and you've come in doing a rhyming riff. I was just doing a posh
Right.
South Australian
And
riff.
posh people ride goats.
Yes.
on slopes. Slopes. Love hitting the slopes. The other 3 topics: Joan of Arc, the Concorde, and the Le Mans disaster.
Right.
But I'm going for a 4th topic, and I don't want to give away the topic title just yet, but this one was suggested by one person, that is a very French person.
Okay.
J. Sweeney from Cardiff in Wales. Thank you so much.
JJ.
J. Sweeney.
Cardiff, the Frenchest part of Wales.
They call it-
Paris.
Yeah, they call it Little Paris.
I call it Big Paris.
And what do you call
I
actual Paris?
Well, I call it Little Cardiff.
Yeah, that's better. That makes more sense, actually.
This one was voted for by our Patreon supporters.
A Patreon.
Patron. And to them we say merci beaucoup for your input.
Ugh, you aren't very good at French. Not like me. Beaucoup.
Merci beaucoup.
Merci beaucoup.
Oh, God.
Oui, merci beaucoup.
French or
Croissant.
French-speaking listeners gonna hate this episode,
Sorry,
aren't
everyone,
they?
with apologies.
But Dave means it with love.
What do you mean it with?
Hate. Scorn. Fuck them. These French fucks. No, I love them. Good on them. Got some great French listeners. And to them I say, buongiorno.
Wow.
Wow.
Thankfully,
Jeez.
they all speak many languages, so they'll get that.
I get that one.
Let me paint a scene. It's August 1951.
Paint it like a famous French artist, Monet.
Well done.
Oh, is
Well
he?
done, yeah.
Yes.
I was wondering, is he going to go for this? Is he going to go for this?
Oh, that's sick.
Well,
Oh,
let me,
I'm done for the day.
I was going to say paint me like one of your French girls.
What would that
that's-
mean?
Oh my God.
That's very
What's
good
that got
too.
to do with anything?
It's August. It's 1951. Over in the US, the first baseball game televised in color has just been broadcast. People watching glorious full spectrum as the Boston Braves beat Brooklyn Dodgers 8-1.
Ooh.
In Australian baseball news, New South Wales have just won their 6th Claxton Shield. Also this month, future MLB All-Star John Stearns was born. What can I say? It was a big month for baseball.
Stanzy, that
Can
year.
you believe
Bloody
it?
hell.
Also, Daryl Summers was born this month.
Wow.
Is this report about baseball?
Is it about Daryl Summers?
But over in the town of Pont-Saint-Esprit in southern France, they weren't worried about baseball or Mr. Daryl Summers.
Well, I mean, that's not a way to live.
What a weird red herring that is.
On the 16th of August 1951, postman Leon Amunier was doing his normal rounds on his bicycle when suddenly he became overwhelmed first by nausea and then wild hallucinations.
Ooh.
He was overwhelmed and fell off his bike in terror. He later recalled, "It was terrible. I had the sensation of shrinking, and the fire and the serpents coiling around my arms."
Oh
Holy
my
moly.
God.
He was taken to hospital in nearby Avignon, by which point he had become so delirious that he was put in a straitjacket.
I actually kind of maybe I don't know if this is a controversial take. I wouldn't mind trying a straitjacket.
Okay.
I think it would be kind of comforting, a bit like a swaddle for a baby.
Oh,
You know what I mean? Like just get me all wrapped up and give myself a little cuddle.
Do you
Ugh.
think maybe that? I think that could be something, we do. Maybe we start a business, a sort of a
Adult
retreat.
swaddles?
Yeah. Well, a straitjacket retreat, right?
Ah.
You go to the retreat, we just straitjacket you up and put you in a dark room. And you pay thousands of dollars for it. You do, Jess.
Like pitch black or like dimly lit, as in like mood lighting.
What's better?
I would like some mood lighting.
Well, we're trying to cut costs.
Yeah, we can't afford lighting.
Okay, I don't want to go to this retreat.
All right, no, we'll dim the lights.
Yeah, I just want just like a calming room.
We just want to, whatever the lowest thing you'll accept is, we'll do that.
Yeah. There was a thing last month where there was a company that was hit the news because they were offering to bury you alive
Nope,
for $90,000.
absolutely not. No.
And the whole point of it was you come out of there being thankful to be alive.
Oh, wow.
But you're coming out of there.
Yes.
I feel like you
So-
could pay someone less than that.
That's what I thought too. That's steep. But if people are willing to pay that, I reckon we could probably charge about $9,000 for the straitjacket idea.
Yeah.
I reckon I could just go to like a day spa and get a massage or something
Yeah.
and lie in a
I
dark
reckon-
room.
Will you come out of that feeling grateful?
Yeah.
Oh. Yeah, I'll do
And
that
it,
then.
like
I reckon
it's a dimly lit room and
Yeah.
there's nice music and it smells nice.
Jess, why have you turned on this? This was your idea.
I
You
just
wanted
said I
this.
wouldn't mind a straitjacket.
Just wrap yourself up in a blanket or put a dressing gown on backwards.
Oh yes.
Get your partner to tie it behind your back. Oh, here we go.
Oh, cozy.
Feels nice and cozy.
Can I go home?
Yeah. I got to try something out.
I did not bring my dressing gown in.
Oh.
My robe.
So this postie, Leon, he's been put in a straitjacket, and he wasn't the only one in the room experiencing hallucinations, for he shared a room with 3 teenagers who had been chained to their beds to keep them under control and stop them from hurting each other. Leon recalled, "Some of my friends tried to get out of the window. They were thrashing wildly, screaming, and the sound of the metal beds and the jumping up and down, the noise was terrible. The strangest thing was, as time went by, this wasn't an isolated incident in the town. What the heck was happening at Pont-Saint-Esprit? Let's find out."
Whoa.
Wow.
Pont-Saint-Esprit? Pont-Saint-Esprit?
Yeah.
So you said?
Pont-Saint-Esprit.
Pont-Saint-Esprit.
Spelt Pont-Saint-Esprit.
And what does pont mean?
Bridge.
And what does saint mean?
Saint.
And what does spree mean?
Esprit. Great brand.
Spirit. Yeah.
What a great
Esprit.
brand.
Loved it. Had a matching Esprit
Esprit.
tracksuit as a kid.
Oh,
Really?
Loved
Ooh,
it.
I was more of a Fiorucci child.
What are you talking
I
about?
don't know that one.
Do you remember that name?
No.
I was more of a sweat hog guy.
Oh, nothing but the best. Sweat hog.
There was a Seconds outlet near where I grew up, so.
Wow, so you didn't even get first sweat hog.
What?
Last season's sweat hog.
la-di-da. You got you got non-damaged sweat hog?
Pre-sweated sweat hog. Oh, wow.
Not second-hand, just the stuff that was, like there were printing mistakes and stuff on them. Spelling errors.
The sweet hog.
Sweet hog. I was getting around as a boy.
Sweet hog.
Sweet hog.
Yeah, people kept telling you, hey, sweet hog.
Hey, sweet hog.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you.
This is strange, but thank you so much. Well, let's rewind a little, and I can paint you a picture this time, not about baseball, but this time about Pont-Saint-Esprit itself.
Is there any reason you did those baseball things?
I just Googled what happened in 1951,
Gotcha.
and only baseball things came up, and Daryl Summers. And I was like, this would be a bit of fun to reference baseball.
I couldn't believe there was an Australian baseball league back then.
So I looked up, there's a list of Australian events, and then you click sporting events. I'm like, surely something happened. And the only thing that happened in the month was New South Wales won the Claxton Shield, which
Claxton
I've never
is so
heard
great.
of.
Claxton, I
I've
love.
never even heard of. But there you go. So found in southern France, Pont-Saint-Esprit is situated on the river Rhône. And again, apologies to French people. And is the site of a historical crossing, hence its name. Pont meaning bridge. A saint crossed this bridge.
Ah.
The town is about 120 kilometres north of Marseille on the Mediterranean.
It's so funny when like a name like that sounds so cool and fancy. Ooh, Pont-Esprit or whatever.
Nailed it.
But it's like Saint crossed that bridge. It's just like it's so childish.
Yeah.
It's just like red tree and stuff like that. Ooh, it sounds so fancy. I don't know how to say red tree. Dave, say red tree in French. But I bet you it sounds fancy.
Rouge.
Tree.
Arbert.
Yeah.
Or they'll just say
I went to visit Rouge Albert. Ooh, that sounds fancy. Wonder what that means. Red tree. Because there was a red tree there once. Now the town's named Red Tree.
Red tree's not there anymore.
No, the
What
tree's
about-
gone, but the town remains.
Porc de Sur, sweat hog. Oh my God, Porc de Sur.
Oh, I didn't realize you were wearing designer brands.
So this is Pont-Saint-Esprit. It's quite a small place. And if you're wondering if any celebs have ever lived there,
I am.
well, let me tell you. According to a French celebrity website I found called wikipedia.org,
Okay.
I believe it's pronounced.
Means something in French, I assume.
Yeah, sweat hog.
Something about feet.
Pont-Saint-Esprit is famous as the town of origin of Michael Bouvier, a cabinet maker who was the ancestor of John Vernal Bouvier III, who's the father of Jacqueline Kennedy.
Holy moly.
So the First Lady's dad was related to a guy who made furniture there. It's the big time.
Holy
Whoa.
shit.
Holy crap.
Jesus.
I just want you to know that this is a
This
pretty
goes
big
all
deal.
the way to the top.
This is a big deal.
Yeah.
But it's a pretty small place. Only about 4,000 people resided there in the early 1950s.
Okay.
And in 1951, they were put on the map by an incident that the town is still most famously associated with. I think they've tried to rebrand a few times, including
They're
by
like,
being
look at this big red tree.
yeah, whoa, this cabinet maker lived here.
Yeah.
I mean, they're named after a saint crossing a bridge.
I know.
How big of an event could this be to usurp that?
Well, on August 15th, 1951, dozens of townsfolk became ill. At
Oh,
first,
yeah, you've already told us what happened. The postman thing.
Yeah, the postman.
I've
but
forgotten about him.
He's one of many.
Whoa.
At first, the people complained of nausea and stomach pain, weak blood pressure and faint pulses, cold sweats and low temperatures. Sort of, maybe it's a gastro, maybe it's flu, what's going on?
Sounds like a whole town of sweat hogs here.
Well, they reported terrible insomnia, and apparently one of the symptoms was they smelled terrible. Someone described the odor emanating from them as like that of a dead mouse. Sweat hog.
Very specific.
Yeah,
Dead
that is
mouse.
so specific.
What would make you stink?
Yeah.
Just sweating it
Like
out.
a dead mouse. Like, that's a small thing to... If you think awful things to smell would be like a dead cat or a dead dog.
Minimum
Some
size
big...
cat.
Yeah, you're right. Like, just a dead mouse, you're like maybe getting faint whiffs of that in the roof. Like,
Yeah.
oh,
But
gone.
maybe that's why they're talking about it, because if a mouse dies in your walls, it could be there for a long time. When you uncover it, it's awful, maybe. Maybe that had been happening a lot in this town.
Yeah.
Maybe. I'm extrapolating
Let's
a little
speculate.
there.
The offices of the town's 2 local doctors began to fill, and over the hours that passed, the symptoms of the sick became worse and worse. The sick grew to the hundreds, and for most, these already horrific ailments were the end of it, but for others, it was only just beginning, because then came the most terrifying symptom, the hallucinations.
Right.
One of the town's 2 doctors would name the night the apocalyptic night, as dozens of people experienced nightmarish hallucinations, convulsions, and swollen limbs that felt as if they were burning for the people.
Ow.
And I thought the most fascinating one the postie had was he felt like he was shrinking.
Shrinking,
Yeah.
yeah.
Isn't that
Isn't that wild?
interesting? Were they actually shrinking?
No.
Okay.
But everything else was growing, so it felt like...
The red tree was getting bigger and bigger.
Oh, everything's enlarging. Relax, you're staying the same size. Everything's okay. Mayor Albert Hubbard described the events to the press. He said, "I have seen healthy men and women suddenly become terrorized, ripping their bed sheets, hiding themselves beneath their blankets to escape hallucinations." Which,
Ripping their bed sheets.
why is the mayor in their bedroom?
Yeah. Why do you know that? What's
he doing there?
What, but what a weird combo of things to do. Rip your bed sheets and then hide under the blanket.
Yeah.
Why-
It's like we just ripped it.
Yeah.
We
You
rip
just-
the sheet. Blankets are fine.
Yeah, true.
You don't want to
It's
shit.
hard- It's hard
Is
to
it just,
rip a blanket.
It's harder to rip.
Personally-
Otherwise, I bet they would have ripped it and then
Yeah.
been like, oh, now I can't hide
I
under
know where
it.
to hide, and now I'm suddenly cold.
Mm.
Well, you shouldn't have ripped your blanket.
Tell you what,
right,
one of the symptoms is being a little irrational, I think.
Things went absolutely wild in the town. These are some of the reports of the hallucinations over the days that followed. So for days, people started experiencing these kinds of things.
Wow.
A little girl screamed as she was chased by man-eating tigers. That's what she saw.
Okay.
A woman sobbed about how her children had been ground into sausages.
Oh my god.
Oh,
At least
that would
that
suck.
one's a bit funny.
Okay.
Oh no, they're sausages.
I'm imagining cartoon sausages. I think that's why.
The specificity. Oh yeah, they're
Yeah,
still
yeah.
they're still living in the
Yeah, they're
sausages.
just like,
They've
come
still
on,
got
Mama! I'm off to school.
I'm a pork and fennel.
Yeah.
Mum, I'm a pork and fennel.
Oh, that's the worst. She starts tearing her hair out. A large man fended off terrific beasts by smashing his own furniture.
Good.
A husband and wife ran around chasing each other with kitchen knives.
That one, that's less. That, no.
Well, I thought I was going to get you with that one.
No, because that could end quite badly, couldn't
Yeah,
it?
it could.
Depends on what kind of kitchen knives. Like butter
Butter
knives,
knife? Yeah. I'd
or
do
just
that
like
every
a
morning.
normal like a table knife. So we call a normal knife.
Yeah, table knife.
I love how putting table at the front of something makes it just the normal one. Why not just normal? Normal knife, normal spoon,
Yeah.
tablespoon.
Tables? Is that a phrase?
Yeah, there's a tablespoon, teaspoon. It's fucked me up so much.
I don't think there's table knife.
What's tablespoon?
Tablespoon's just the big spoon. That's a tablespoon.
Oh, okay.
The one in the middle of like for serving a salad or something.
No, that's a salad spoon.
Of course, tablespoon.
serving
Oh my god,
spoon.
am I hallucinating? Tablespoon.
Tablespoon.
Teaspoon.
That's
You're
just
right.
that's just a unit
Yeah,
of
isn't that
measurement.
weird? But,
But for some reason, I was putting a pause in between table. Anyway, that threw me off.
I
This is like the sugar bowl all over
Oh
again.
my God.
I tried
not
to make
sugar
a cake or something. I can't remember what it was. Maybe pancakes or something.
Yep.
And yeah, I'm like, wait, what's a tablespoon? What's a teaspoon?
Oh,
But
yeah.
it was obvious. Like I had to Google it, but it's like, yeah, the teaspoon's the little one you'd have for tea.
But I'm the same. But I also, because they shorten it to TPS and TBS,
Yes,
and that
that's-
I'm like, hang on
yeah.
a second, I've really got to
What's
think about
going
this.
on here?
Tablespoon.
Tablespoon. It just seems stupid. Unless the spoon has legs that pop out and it can form a table, then
Yeah, don't call yourself
don't
a tablespoon.
call yourself a tablespoon.
Right. Yes, like like a spade is a combination.
Yeah.
I just want to just quickly mention as well that for the many people who are inevitably going to, I'm actually Matt and Dave here. Can you leave me out of that tweet?
What's the actually?
That there'll be a reason why it's called a tablespoon and a teaspoon.
Oh wow, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just because it's on the table
Yep.
and it's on the tea.
Perfect.
Do you guys call dinner tea?
Did growing up.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I also did growing up, but never
Not anymore.
anymore.
Yeah,
Never
now it's
anymore.
dinner.
Having tea.
Yeah.
I think I still call it tea. Tea time.
Yeah.
I wonder why that is.
I don't know.
Doesn't matter.
Yeah, we did that growing up, but now I just
Yeah,
call
for-
it dinner.
What's for tea?
What's
Yeah,
for
what's
tea?
for tea?
Maybe
What
what's
else
for dinner?
Will we be home for tea?
Yeah.
I'll be
Yeah.
home after tea.
Yep. Yeah.
Tea.
But I also used to eat at like 6 o'clock. What was I thinking?
You did grow up with your Nana and Pop.
That's right.
And then you went and worked at a job for a long time where you didn't get home until like 8 o'clock.
8 o'clock, that's right. Now I eat dinner at 9, 9:30 now.
Still?
Yeah.
I'll have dinner sometimes. I find myself eating dinner at midnight. I'm like, well, I've stuffed today. I've made a huge mistake. What have I done? How do you get to this?
All right, more hallucinations. A worker called Gabriel Valadaire tried to drown himself because his belly was being eaten by snakes.
Whoa.
He said, I am dead and my head is made of copper and I have snakes on my stomach and they are burning me. That's how he described the feeling.
Whoa.
Oh, that's full on.
He repeatedly screamed before attempting to throw himself in the river. Fortunately,
Wow.
he did not drown. A 60-year-old grandmother threw herself against the wall and broke 3 of her own ribs. A man saw his heart escaping through his feet and beseeched a doctor to put it back in place.
Someone's put LSD in the water or something.
Yeah.
Near the Rhone River, a man, convinced that he was a circus tightrope walker, attempted to balance his way across the cables of a suspension bridge. How wild is that?
That's crazy.
And succeeded?
No news on that. No news on that.
Let's say succeeded.
Yeah.
Well, he didn't die, so...
Yeah, I
Okay,
believe.
so then he
So
succeeded. Like, if he hadn't succeeded, then he'd be dead. So if he's not dead, he succeeded.
Yep. Ipso facto.
The people having these violent hallucinations had to be tied to beds or put in straitjackets for their own protection because they were, hurting themselves, including our postie Leon I mentioned earlier. Sadly, the attempts to restrain the people often added to the patient's agitation
Yeah, I can
because
imagine
they're
that.
already in a highly panicked state and
Yeah.
now they can't move and they're like, absolutely hallucinating. That's all pretty awful stuff, but I am pleased to say some started hallucinating in a more positive way.
Okay.
According to the New York Times, some heard heavenly choruses, saw brilliant colours. The world looked beautiful to them.
Oh, that's great.
That's nice.
Mental Floss notes it was an especially productive experience for the head of the local farmers' co-op, who began writing hundreds upon hundreds of pages of luminous poetry.
Oh, wow.
It was a real inspo, hundreds of pages.
I wouldn't mind that.
Yeah.
That kind of
You're
reaction.
happy with that, yeah.
I'd love some productivity.
So imagine you write so much poetry, people are like, mate, I'm going to have to stop you there. I'm going to have to chain you to a bed.
Yeah, it's too much
This
poetry.
is too much. This is dog shit.
Yeah.
We could have stopped this.
But he said luminous, or Mental
Yeah.
Floss said luminous, and that seems
luminous poetry.
positive.
But not everyone...
Or was it luminous because it was so bad you'd light it on fire, creating some light? Lumination. Is that what luminous means?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, big time.
But not everyone that were having bad hallucinations could be helped in time, and for most it was pretty horrific. Again, according to Mental Floss, that has a long list of hallucinations people had. One man leapt from a window, broke 2 legs, stood up, and then continued running.
Oh,
So, very injured.
jeez.
That's what he sounded like as he ran.
Frickin', oh, kept running. Ah. Imagine bones are sticking out pretty soon, right? Whoa. Yikes.
Oh, that live commentary.
Live.
Whoa, yikes. Somebody stop this guy. It was even reported that a man believed himself to be an aeroplane and died by jumping from a second-story window.
Oh, boy.
Believed himself to be an aeroplane. Imagine that. That would be your dream, Dave.
Wow, well, to believe that I'm an aeroplane, not
Yeah.
to be one.
To be the
But to believe-
Concorde.
Yeah, oh, wow. You'd have to soar
Your
higher than
arms
2
become
stories.
wings. Your head a cockpit.
Oh, wow. My face becomes a droop snoot.
Yeah.
It lowers for landing.
Droop snoot. My droop snoot. Surely we did that at the time.
think we did.
Surely, come
I
on.
think we did. Wow. Finally. That's why I was like, I'm going to keep doing French topics until one of us nails it. We've done it.
With droop snoot, baby.
Steps Club 7.
Steps Club.
Ain't no party like a
Steps Club party. So there's various reports, I will say. There's conflicting numbers, but most people say over the next few days, 5 people, including an otherwise healthy 25-year-old man, died. A few elderly people died from this incident. 5 in total is usually the number that people say.
Right.
So it's horrific. Something terrible has happened.
Mm-hmm.
People immediately began searching for answers. What had caused the outbreak of sickness and nightmarish hallucinations? Well, many early theories were put forward. The New York Times notes that people at the time were asking, was the fact that the arm of a statue of the Virgin had been torn off during a storm the previous May? Was that an omen of divine retribution?
No.
I don't think so.
Some people are saying that.
So this happened in August. And in
Yep.
May, several months earlier, a storm had damaged a statue several months earlier.
Yeah.
And they've gone, today's the day.
And it
Got around to it, you know?
Yeah.
So a storm damaged it.
Yeah, not the
which is
people.
divine.
Yeah.
Surely.
So why
and you might-
punish the people?
Surely you'd punish yourself. I hope they're hallucinating upstairs as well.
Well, this is...
That's probably all they're doing up there, you know what I mean?
Sitting around.
You got nothing but time.
Yeah. What else would you do?
And yet you wait till August.
Yeah.
True.
Well, they probably did it to themselves first.
Yeah, okay.
Took a while to recover.
I'm gonna say it's probably not that one.
Well, that's actually my number one theory. So.
Okay, well, you and I are different people, so...
Okay. Well, here's another 20 paragraphs about the Virgin Mary. They're not true.
Your favourite, Mary, because you are a virgin. Yes.
Yeah, solidarity, sister.
Gut him.
Two local doctors investigated the epidemiology of the disease, and fairly quickly, the culprit was something the French are still famous for. Their
Wine.
bread.
Bread, cheese.
Yeah, okay, they've got a few things.
Yeah, because you would sort of be going, okay, well, it's affected all of these people. What's something that they could have all come in contact with? So you would be going like something in water.
Air.
Yeah. Is it some sort of gas leak?
The Virgin Mary obviously lost her hand 3 months ago.
So let's look into that quite rigorously.
We've all got hands.
bread.
Most of us.
Something with the yeast.
Yes, so, because, you know, there's a town of 4,000 and 400 people have gone down with sickness.
Yeah.
Do you think there's going to be some sort of yeast infection?
Yeah.
Jeez.
Wow. On the 19th of August, so this is a few days later, they came to the conclusion that bread was to blame. All patients interrogated had purchased their bread from Roche Briand's bakery.
Everyone had purchased their bread from Wacky Will's hallucinatory bakery or eatery.
Ooh, come down and try the mystery bread.
I found it on a truck.
I found, whoa, have a go.
There we go.
I've had some and I feel a bit weird.
To say though, having had 400 customers, it's pretty good.
Yeah.
That's pretty good, Rosh.
That's a great
I mean,
deal.
even like you know, let's say it's not 400. It's it might be people within the same family. That's still,
You know,
you'd feel pretty good.
100 customers in a day. That's a great day
That's
for
bloody
a
great
bakery.
for a bakery.
Yeah.
Fantastic. You're
In a
doing
town
really well.
of what, 5,000?
4,000 people.
4,000 people? Phew,
Yeah.
like those odds.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You're doing
so
great.
10% of the town have been to your bakery.
Fantastic.
I'd take that.
But though, famous for their bread. They love bread.
I love bread.
Mm.
So you got to get bread somewhere. Maybe there's 10 bakeries. They've got an even split. I don't know.
That'd be nice.
They love a French stick over there, don't they?
They love a
I reckon
French
that's their
stick.
favourite kind of bread is a French stick.
Yeah, that's all they eat. French sticks.
They love a French stick.
With a bit of French onion dip.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I love French onion dip.
Or as they call it, French onion dip. They
Yeah.
probably don't have that. The summer of 1951 was unusually wet, and that year's rye crop was expected to fall short. Earlier in the month, the baker Roche Briard had received a supply of strangely grey flour. It seemed a bit off, but at the time, the government had control over the grain supply chain.
It seemed a bit off, but oh well.
Whatever.
Well, this is the reason.
Grey does. I don't know enough about flour, but grey sounds like a bad colour for most
Yeah.
foods.
It's a bit off, isn't it? Though at the time, the system did not allow the bakers to choose which millers they would work with, even if they discovered flaws in the flour. Low-quality flour would often be sent from faraway regions, and when it arrived, if the baker wanted to complain about the quality of flour, they'd have to shut up shop for multiple days until a union chemist could come by and test it.
Ugh.
Understandably, when this is your livelihood, people didn't want to do this. So he's like, all right, I
gotta
guess
use
I
it."
use this crappy flour. This is what I've been given. And this is only a few years after World War II, so there's still pretty poor, lot of austerity going on. So he's like, all right, if I complain about this flour, I don't get paid this week, so
Yeah.
I'm going to bake. The bread was an early theory, and local bakers were briefly shut down as the media stirred up a bit of hysteria. The Paris press wrote at the time, "The baker whom we visit every day, the grocer we go to regularly, are they not, after all, maniacs or potential killers of whom we must be aware?"
Are they not, after all, maniacs?
Makes you think.
Yeah, that's a very level-headed response to
right.
this.
A few people have gotten sick from this baker, so is everyone trying to kill you? That feels like a current affair ad or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
doesn't it?
That's also like if they were trying to kill you, I reckon they would have used poison,
Yeah.
not an hallucinogenic.
They not grey flour. So the local baker responsible was declared to be Rochebriard, who had opened the flour and saw it was grey, looked a bit wrong, but he had no other means of making that morning's baguettes and proceeded to bake and sell his wares as usual.
Is that how it's pronounced?
Baguette.
But is it, do the French, because I know you've been to France a lot, do the French say baguettes?
I do. Absolutely not.
Okay. I just thought, I'm like, is this another one of those words I say wrong?
Matt looked at me so concerned he was going crazy because I hadn't said anything either. And he looked at me like, what? What's happening?
I've been making a fool of myself. I thought my perfect French accent was getting everything right.
Baguette.
That's why I stay safe and call them French sticks.
Yeah. One French stick, mate.
Yeah.
Sorry, I emphasised the first syllable there a little too much. But anyway, he's baked his bread. He's baked as usual. So that's what's happened.
What kind of bread?
Baguette.
Baguette.
On the 23rd of August, so this is all happening within about a week, a judge of inquiry opened a formal investigation and tasked Commissaire Georges Segot with finding the cause of the mass poisoning event. The tainted bread made by Briand was only made with 4 ingredients: flour, yeast, water, and salt. All of the ingredients but the flour could be easily discounted as the source of the illness. So like, it's not the water because everyone's been drinking the water. It's not the yeast or the salt. They've discounted those. The flour, it must be the flour. That's what they've decided. The main theory was that the bread had resulted in ergot poisoning or ergotism in those that ingested it.
Oh, they got ergot.
They got
Academy.
the ergot.
Emmy. What are the other ones?
Oscar, Tony. But we've got to get an R in there as well.
Oh.
Razzie.
Oh, yeah.
Hard to get an Oscar and a
There
Razzie
would be
in the same year.
So I wonder if there's anyone who's got the Razzie plus the EGOT.
Oh, that'd be amazing. I reckon there'd be definitely some who've got positive and negative ones.
But I don't think the full EGOT.
Yeah, I think when Halle Berry won, so she'd already won an Oscar by the time she won a Razzie. I think she turned up at the ceremony with her Oscar statue.
That's pretty funny.
Accept it. Very funny, Halle. Very funny. Now, while Matt does a bit of a Google, I'll tell you what ergotism is.
Please.
Ergotism is a form of poisoning from ingesting grains, typically rye, that have been infected by, and here we go, a bit of science talk here. I'm going to attempt this. The asomas. Fuck it, it's a fungus. It's a fungus. a fungus called Claviceps purpurae.
Okay.
I can't even pronounce baguette. How am I going to fucking say this word?
You can't say it.
Hey, Dave, I've got good news. 2 EGOT winners are also Razzie winners.
They're ergots! Who are they?
Composer Alan Menken recently won a Daytime Emmy Award for Best Original Song in a Children's, Young Adult, or Animated Program, blah, blah, blah.
Great.
Which officially made him a member of the elite group of people who've scored an EGOT. Those... oh, no. However, Menken joined an even more exclusive club at the same time, individuals with a REGOT. Those who have won a Golden Raspberry
EGOT's
Award,
better.
aka a Razzie, as well as the standard EGOT. Explains what a Razzie is. Oh my god. So Menken, how does Menken win?
What did they say? Worst song?
Yeah.
A Razzie for worst song? That seems brutal.
Menken received his Razzie for the song High Times, Hard Times from the musical Newsies in 1993. The same year he won an Oscar for Best Original Song for A Whole New World from Aladdin.
Wow, big year.
This feat made him the first person in history to score a Razzie and an Oscar in the same year. Liza Minnelli was the other one. She got her Razzie in 1988 for Arthur II, On the Rocks, and Rent-A-Cop. She won her Emmy in 1973.
I didn't know they did an Arthur too.
Wow.
Arthur II, On the Rocks.
Oh, that's bad. Arthur 2 Back in the Habit would have been way better.
Way better.
I think On the Rocks is my new sequel thing.
On the rocks.
Okay.
Does that beat Secret of the Ooze?
Yes. No, Secret of the Use is pretty good.
Yeah.
I think it beats my standard, which is Judgment Day.
Oh, yeah.
Judgment Day is pretty
The
good.
Arthur 2 Judgment Day is pretty fun.
That's perfect.
On the Rocks.
So they've said a REGOT, but we're going with ergot.
Ergot. Yes.
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 So you get ergotism from ingesting grains that have been infected by this fungus. According to the Smithsonian, ergot is a parasitic fungus that thrives on rye under certain climate conditions.
Right.
Cold winters followed by an especially rainy growing season, which is what they had, and it manifests itself as oversized violet grains protruding from the head of the plant. Lysergic acid, the active component in the fungus, was used to create LSD.
Oh.
So it has a sort of relation to LSD.
Which we learned a bit about, Dave, on a podcast recently.
That's right. We were a guest on the Sci Guys podcast, which is a lot of fun. And we're going to talk more about LSD and what we talked about on that episode in just a few moments. Epidemics of ergotism were identified throughout history, recorded as early as 857, so quite a long time ago. A great plague of swollen blisters consumed the people by a loathsome rot, so that their limbs were loosened and fell off before death.
Ew.
Oh, is that what happened to the statue of Virgin Mary?
Maybe, yes, ergotism. Because
Whoa.
apparently it gives you these hallucinations, but it can also, if you have a terrible dose of it, cause blood vessels to constrict and you get gangrene in your extremities. And then bits of,
your body falls
fall off your legs, or your toes, then your foot, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
If you don't treat the gangrene. So it's really awful stuff.
Awful.
In the Middle Ages, the gangrenous poisoning was known as holy fire or St. Anthony's fire, named after monks of the Order of St. Anthony who were particularly successful at treating the ailment. So yeah, a holy fire or St. Anthony's fire. It's a badass name. It also possibly links back to a couple of our previous topics, one being the Salem witch trials. Some historians have even suggested that the erratic behaviour in several young Puritan girls was brought on by ergot poisoning, although this is heavily debated.
Yeah, right.
Though some people say that's a theory, so why they were acting that way.
Some people say it's a theory. Bloody hell.
Can you believe that? But
I'm
yes.
closing the book on it. That's enough for me.
The other previous report topic is the dancing plague of 1518, which some argue, again, was brought on by food poisoning caused by the toxic and psychoactive chemical products. But this wasn't hundreds of years ago. This was 1951 that this happened in.
Yeah, the same year that that team won the
That's like the Claxton.
The Claxton Cup.
Yeah, the same year Daryl Summers was born.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
The world changed that day. For better or worse, I don't know.
Only time will
The
tell.
jury's still out.
Several investigations were conducted by law enforcement and medical experts to trace the source of the poisonous bread, but none of them were conclusive. One of them posited that the sacks of flour had been transported unhygienically in polluted train cars. Another inquiry determined that fuel leaks from nearby factories contaminated the local water supply. But if this was true, people wondered why the poisoning wasn't more widespread. It was just these people at the bakery, not everyone. Everyone drinks the water. So one of the investigations found that the contamination had been caused by the presence of mercury in pesticides used in the rye fields, or caused by panagen, a cleaning agent used in wheat containers. So there's rival theories, including American-born historian Stephen L. Kaplan, who is a man who literally wrote the book on the subject. His 1,100-page book called Cursed Bread, Returning to the Forgotten Years in France, 1945 to 1958, came out in 2008. 1,100 pages.
Cursed bread.
Cursed Bread.
And yeah, just,
Nobody thought to workshop that title a little bit. Or...
I love it. So if you've got a problem with it,
take it up with Kaplan.
No, I was on the committee. I'm being a bit defensive here, but I was one of the people who okayed the title.
Cursed bread.
Cursed bread. And the more you say it, the more
Are
it's
you
going
wanting to
on
be
now.
taken seriously, though, or is it a bit funny? Is it a funny book?
It's a funny book, Bob.
Oh, then that's great. I
It's
love
a
it.
real page turner.
I love it.
Cursed Bread. A hilarious romp through the history of French bread making system.
Over a specific 11-year period.
Yeah.
Such a strange, strange amount of time to be talking bread. I reckon once I was getting up to the 11,000 pages, I'm like, I might just shrink this down to maybe 2 or 3 years.
Yeah,
Yeah.
this is a bit much.
I'd be like, what am I doing?
Kaplan, get an editor.
Yeah.
So Kaplan does not believe that ergotism was the cause of the hallucinations in the town. According to him, ergot contamination would not have affected only one sack of grain in a single bakery, but would have been more widespread across the area, across France in general. You know, that you don't just... It's not just one crop becomes one bag. You know, it's multiple bags.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
I'm with him. What's his name?
Kaplan.
I'm on board with Kaplan here.
Of course you are.
Whatever he says next,
Captain
I agree
Curse
with.
Bread, of course you are.
Yeah. The names of the other bakers disappeared from the list of suspects, but Roche-Briand was arrested and his bakery shut down.
What?
But by the time the police investigation had named his bakery as a place of interest, it was too late for any conclusive testing, as he had since either used or thrown away his flour. Not going to keep it forever. So no test could be carried out to conclusively say his bread was the source of the outbreak.
Did he have any more bread? Test the bread.
Had he eaten the bread?
Yeah, that day's bread. By the time they'd worked it out, he'd moved on to the next day's bread, the next flour. So I don't think it's like suspicious, like him destroying evidence. I think he literally kept running his business, and by the police worked out it could be him. They're like, oh,
The cops rock up and he's flushing baguettes down the toilet.
this is not what it looks like. I do this every day. Sadly for Roche, he was forced to close his bakery after the scandal, and it never reopened. And I've seen photos of where the bakery used to be. It's still abandoned to this day.
Wow, really?
That's brutal.
Yeah.
In this economy?
In this economy.
They haven't put something else in there?
He was booming, and just because he got some dodgy flour and didn't think to not use it. Oh, yeah, okay. That's maybe fair enough.
But that's not the only book and only theory that has been put forward. Multiple books have been written about this.
All with great titles?
Yeah, and they better have at least 11,000 pages. Otherwise, are we paying attention to them, really? Are they taking it seriously?
In 2009, the year after Cursed Bread came out, American investigative journalist Hank Albarelli published A Terrible Mistake, a book that addresses the mystery surrounding the death of Frank Olson, a bacteriologist employed by the American military and the CIA. Okay.
Whoa, hang on a second.
Got your attention?
This is
Mention the
sounding a
CIA.
little MK Ultralistic.
Oh, this is MK Ultralistic. Let me tell you about that. Frank Olson, big time MK Ultra. We'll talk about that in just a second. But in the book, Albarelli, who's the writer of A Terrible Mistake, revealed a CIA document labeled, this is what it says, re Pont-Saint-Esprit and F. Olson files. It says France operation file, inclusive Olson, Intel file, so these are all labels, hand carry to Bellin, tell him to see that these are buried. And I'll break that down a little bit. So F. Olson there is Frank Olson, a CIA scientist who at the time of the Pont-Saint-Esprit incident led research for the agency into the drug LSD.
Oh.
We'll talk more about F. Olson, Frank Olson in a minute. Bellin, it says hand carry to Bellin. David Bellin was the executive director of the Rockefeller Commission created by the White House in 1975 to investigate abuses carried out worldwide by the CIA.
Okay.
So it says, this file's labelled Pont-Saint-Esprit F. Olson files, hand carried to Bellin, tell him to see that these are buried.
Holy shit.
As in,
So
like,
they've used this little French town as an experiment?
Cover this up.
Whoa.
According to the BBC, Albarelli, who wrote the book, believes the Pont-Saint-Esprit and F. Olson files mentioned in the document would show, if they had not been, quote, buried, that the CIA...
Flushed down the toilet.
Yeah, with the baguettes. That the CIA was experimenting on the townspeople by dosing them with LSD.
Whoa.
So he's found the label of the file, but unfortunately the contents of the file no longer exists.
Oh,
And he's gone, hang on a second. This is a bit crazy. The conclusion drawn at the time was that one of the town's bakeries, the one owned by Roche-Briand, was the source of the poisoning. It's possible, Albarelli says in his book, that LSD was put in the bread. So it was the bread, but it wasn't the bad flour. He says that they were purposefully doped.
Wow. And they've just let him take the fall.
Possibly.
The baker.
Because it's well documented that biological warfare scientists around the world were experimenting with LSD in the early 1950s, a time of conflict in Korea and an escalation of Cold War tensions.
Why France? An ally of theirs at the time.
That's right. But I guess also it's a small town. You can maybe, if this is true, if you do believe this theory, that it's very easy to deny any responsibility.
Yeah, why would we have... You sound like a conspiracy theorist.
Yeah.
Why would we be doing that in France?
In a tiny little town.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So weird. Gaslight them.
Yeah.
Yeah. This happened in 1951, only a couple of years before the CIA started the incredibly controversial and illegal project MK Ultra that Matt mentioned, and that we've done a Patreon bonus episode on it many years ago. So we have briefly discussed it, and we've also
Briefly discussed it, Dave. I did a lot of research in that.
And you remember how much?
Well, I mean, that doesn't... You just, being a bit snooty there. I think you've been researching French stuff too much. It's not just a little report. I did a full report on it.
Yeah.
And I think you should pay it its dues, please.
I apologize, but MK Ultra, it went for 20 years. There's so many things you could have talked about. Honestly.
And I did.
Yeah, okay. I forgot it was an 18-hour bonus episode. God, we wanted to leave that day.
He would not let us.
Shut this guy up. But just to recap, MK Ultra, because I'm sure you remember this, Jess, was an illegal human experimentation program designed and undertaken by the US Central Intelligence Agency, the CIA, intended to develop procedures and identify drugs that could be used in interrogations to weaken individuals and force confessions through brainwashing and psychological torture.
Ah, that was what it was about.
I mean...
Yeah, Matt, obviously.
What you said in 18 hours, I said in one fucking paragraph.
Yeah.
Bit of editing.
Not that hard.
You would write an 1,100-page book about bread.
I would too. The bread curse.
1,100 pages. Matt said before 11,000 pages.
Yeah, you really
And I,
beefed it up.
honestly, you lost me for a while because I was imagining what that would look like. So I was like, you think about a book that's like 300 pages, that's fairly thick. But
It's up to the ceiling.
I know, but then it would still have to be like book size, right? Or is it now also like table size?
I love those. There are huge books in places sometimes.
Yeah.
Are they called libraries? Or?
And it's sort of like, you sort of like wobble them almost, and they sort of just like, you could knock the cover off one and it'd hit the floor, and the rest of the book would just slowly follow it down.
Yeah.
Like a slinky.
Far out.
Imagine that, using a book like a slinky.
Wow.
That's crazy.
Imagine.
I don't want to. It's too much.
Too much excitement for one day.
Oh,
1,100 pages.
1,100 is still a lot. Though.
That's, I
It's
guess.
not 11,000, but 11,000 it just doesn't make any sense, Matt.
Yeah.
How would you sell that in a bookstore?
Well, I mean, no one's buying that
Yeah,
book,
true.
Jess, no matter the size.
Cursed bread. Come
Curse
on.
bread, the 11,000 pages.
Good.
But if you're going to do it properly.
Yeah.
I mean, just make the font bigger. That's what I would have done.
Right. Okay, just make the font 10 times bigger.
Yeah.
Bada bing, bada boom.
Yeah.
Get some illustrations. Draw the bread.
Yeah, imagine how big the bread, you could, you just draw it. It's a long French stick bread. So you just do it, PTO. It's just the bread continues.
Yeah.
PTO.
It's quite a long,
Yeah.
beautiful big baguette. Delicious.
Absolutely. So MK Ultra.
Yes.
Kicked off in 1953, only 2 years after this event. Continued on for 2 decades, and they did heaps of dodgy shit, experimenting with drugs on unwitting participants. Over 7,000 American veterans took part in these experiments non-consensually during the 1950s through 1970s. And in the US, they'd been experimenting on their population even before 1953. In 1951, the US Navy undertook a secret biological warfare experiment in which 2 types of bacteria were sprayed over the San Francisco Bay Area in California in order to determine how vulnerable a city like San Francisco may be to a bioweapon attack. People have no idea this is going on. They just release it from a Navy ship.
Just absolutely incredible that a country would do that to itself.
Yeah.
Or to anyone, but
Yeah, wild. And they claimed that they thought the bacteria was harmless to humans. But 11 residents checked into Stanford Hospital in San Francisco with very, very rare and very serious urinary tract infections. 10 recovered, but 1 person died, and many people think it's because of the bacteria.
Holy shit.
They had a reaction to it.
that sucks. I'm actually pretty anti-CIA right now.
Are you?
After that.
Okay.
Was that CIA?
That's a bit of a hot take.
Oh, that's the Navy.
Okay. I'm anti-Navy right now.
Okay. What
Yeah.
colour would you say you are?
Oh, royal blue.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, the opposite. Beautiful. Beautiful.
Complete
I'll never
opposite.
accept you.
Other side of the colour wheel.
Yeah.
Jess, you must hate the Navy as well. That's where submarines are.
I just hate submarines. I don't hate the Navy.
Yeah, don't.
I love Navy. It's a beautiful colour
Yeah,
on
exactly. You
me.
don't hate the player, you hate the game.
That's right. I just hate submarines.
The game of submarine.
I don't hate them. I think they're dumb. There's a difference.
I
I don't hate you, Matt.
Yeah, okay. Well, that's.
Dave, do go on.
I'm glad you finally clarified that because that's been hanging in the air for years now.
The US have, it turns out, when I'm looking into this a bit, experimented so often on their own people that they are literally too many to mention. There is that French website that has French celebrities. They also list of times the United States illegally experimented on their own people. There's a page on that website for some reason. And there are dozens of examples.
Land of the free.
Land of the free. But I just wanted to mention that one because it shows that they were already experimenting on mass population before 1953.
Yeah.
In 1951, same year, when people allegedly ate the bread that made them hallucinate in France. According to the BBC, which has a great article in this I'll link to, in his book, Hank Albarelli, the journalist that says the CIA was involved, says he has found a top-secret report issued in 1949 by the research director of Edgewood Arsenal, where many US government LSD experiments were carried out, which states that the army should do everything possible to launch, quote, field experiments using the drug. This is still from a BBC article. Using Freedom of Information legislation, Albarelli also got hold of another CIA report from 1954. In it, an agent reported his conversation with a representative of the Sandoz Chemical Company in Switzerland. Sandoz's base, which is just a few hundred kilometers from Pont-Saint-Esprit, was the only place where LSD was being produced at that time. The agent reports in his conversation that after several drinks, the Sandoz representative abruptly stated, quote, "The Pont-Saint-Esprit secret is that it was not the bread at all. It was not grain ergot."
What was it then?
He didn't elaborate further.
Oh, okay, great. Give us some information,
So he's saying
but
what it's
nothing
not.
relevant.
He's not saying what it's not, but is he hinting that it's LSD?
Yeah, that's what I got out of that.
But then what about the grey flour? It was just grey flour? That's it?
Yeah, I mean, it possibly was just dodgy flour, yeah.
The grey flour is actually cement. That's why the baguettes were a little hard.
Yeah, but they love a hard bread. They like,
crusty.
Crusty. Like they want it to have a bit of fight,
Bit of fight.
A bit of...
That's such a funny way to put it.
But how do you say fight?
I've never heard that before. That's great. Yeah, we don't want it... eating. Yeah, we don't want that to be easy.
No.
We want the meal to fight back a little.
I want a challenge.
Yeah, that's right. I like to weaponize my meal. Give it a chance. As for Frank Olson, who was supposedly named in the CIA report as F. Olson, remember? Remember I said his name? Well, we now know he was a part of MK Ultra and was also a part of Operation Sea Spray in San Francisco, where they sprayed the bacteria on the people. So this guy's got it. He's got previous.
He's got runs on the board.
He also worked on developing a number of lethal aerosols in handy-sized containers. They were disguised as shaving cream and insect repellent and contained deadly things like anthrax. The Guardian writes that further weapons he was working on included a cigarette lighter, which gave out an almost instant lethal gas,
Ooh,
a lipstick that would kill on contact with skin,
great.
and a neat pocket spray for asthma sufferers that induced pneumonia.
Whoa.
I love how they've described it as a neat pocket spray.
They all sound like, Bond.
They do sound like Bond inventions.
Things that
Absolutely.
Q has come up with.
More evil probably than what they would normally do.
Here's a lipstick that'll kill you.
Yeah.
And they always have fun names, lipsticks. I have one that's called Lady Danger. So that one could just be called Killer.
Yeah, Lady Killer.
Lady Killer.
Danger is fantastic.
It's a beautiful colour.
I'm just looking up my report on MK Ultra. Yeah, Frank Olson's mentioned quite a lot, Dave. You don't have to go back over all this.
Did you actually mention quite a lot?
Yeah. The experiments continue. I'll take it from here.
Start reading yours again.
So he was involved with some pretty top secret shit, and he later joined MK Ultra before he himself suffered a very mysterious and suspicious death
Oh.
in 1953
You don't say.
when he fell from a window, the 13th floor of a Manhattan hotel.
The family of Frank Olson decided to have a second autopsy performed in 1994.
Tell me I've mentioned the name Frank Olson. That induced no memory from you, did it?
No, I did not. No, I'd read right in the back of my head, but no, not
When
really.
was MK Ultra?
When did we do it?
Yeah.
Oof. Oof.
I think it's about 4 years ago. I
Was it a
looked up.
bonus or was it
It was a
full?
bonus episode.
I mean, still, nothing.
Isn't that amazing?
No, it's concerning.
No, I think we talk about so much stuff.
We talk about so much
And
stuff.
I care about so little. that what am I going to retain?
That's a good point.
You know?
Well, I've got a little bit on Frank Olson here, just because I did not remember any of that. and I
Sorry,
found it
Dave.
very
I'm being a
interesting.
smart ass here, but I think I've covered it.
Well, sorry to rehash old shit, but I was like, this is really interesting.
Yeah, sorry for everybody who's heard the bonus episode, but we are going to have to rehash some
Yeah,
of it.
yeah. It has
Just
also,
skip ahead
It's also since become a Netflix show
Oh,
about his life,
really?
like a mini series on Frank Olson.
What's it called? It's a great name, Frank Olson, I think.
Forgotten what it's called. It's directed by that great.
I doubted it.
Yeah, it's not. I think it's a great name.
Yeah,
it's a great name.
It's directed by
I
that
think-
great. Hang on. Wormwood.
Oh,
Called. Directed by
Ah.
Errol Morris, the great documentary maker.
Wormwood.
I've heard of Wormwood.
Well, that was in 2017, so maybe we did it after. Anyway, we'll have to check the date on that. So at the time, Frank Olson's family were told he either jumped or fell
Yeah.
from the window. But there are questions over that narrative. According to The Guardian, that have a whole article on Frank Olson that I'll link to, which was published after your report, Matt, so hopefully this is new information to some. Leaving the police officers, the night manager returned to the lobby and on a hunch asked the telephone operator if any calls had recently been made from room 1018A where he'd been. Yes, she replied, and she had eavesdropped, not an uncommon practice in an era when hotel phone calls were run through a switchboard. Someone in the room had called a number on Long Island, which was listed as belonging to someone called Dr. Harold Abramson, a distinguished physician, less well known as an LSD expert and one of the CIA's medical collaborators.
Oh.
The caller said, "Well, he's gone." Abramson replied, "Well, that's too bad."
Holy shit. Also, if I was a switchboard operator then, 100% I'd be
Oh,
eavesdropping.
I'd be listening in so
I'd
much.
be listening to everything. I was a switchboard operator for a while, but I couldn't stay on the line. That's a huge disappointment.
Oh, right. Well, you were just like, I'll put you through now.
Yeah, I just put them through.
And you'd pull out the cords and put it into a different hole and
yeah,
that
of
sort
course,
of stuff?
but I didn't have to. I didn't get to
It all
listen.
works?
All right.
Yeah,
Still is the holes and the cords thing?
yeah,
Plugging holes?
definitely not just a button on a phone.
Nah.
Also, that was like 2010. Why did they have switchboard operators in an insurance company? Why couldn't it just be press 1 for this? It was literally 2 options. Should have just been press 1 for this, press 2 for
right.
this.
And it was, but that was your job. They say,
Yep.
you say either this or this.
Yeah,
You're unhappy that they employed you. Interesting.
true. And it was mostly weekends because I was doing it while I was at uni. And one time I took my laptop in and just played The Sims.
Oh, fantastic.
While everybody else around me was working really hard. And I just sat there playing The
Yeah,
Sims.
you're a real team player. You've always has been.
Okay, that hurts as somebody on my team.
Yeah, well, we're here doing a podcast. It should be noted that Jess's laptop is open and she's playing The Sims right now.
Yeah, she's making them
And I'm
spork
winning.
or whatever.
Spook?
What's the word?
Woohoo.
Woo. Well, that's way off.
Spook?
Spork.
Why is it spork?
Spork, okay.
Spork.
Can you fill out that thought a little bit, Dave?
No, just imagining what a spork would feel like. Any day now. So I've got a little bit more on Frank Olson because I was like, what the fuck? The CIA later revealed that before Olson died, he had met some CIA colleagues for a retreat in an isolated spot in Maryland a bit over a week earlier. 9 people were there, including Sidney Gottlieb, who headed MK Ultra. The Guardian writes that Gottlieb's deputy, Lashbrook, produced a bottle of Cointreau and poured glasses for the company. Several, including Olson, drank heartily. After 20 minutes, Gottlieb asked if anyone was feeling odd. Several said they were. Gottlieb then told them that he'd spiked their drinks with LSD. Bit of party fun.
Wow, bit of fun.
Jesus.
Everyone was annoyed by this big reveal, but Olson was especially outraged before the hallucinations took over. He returned home a few days later to his family a changed man and blurted out to his wife, "I've made a terrible mistake," which is why that book is called A Terrible Mistake.
Right.
9 days later, he fell from the window. At the time, he was reportedly thinking of leaving MK Ultra, which was super duper top secret in its infancy, with only about 24 people knowing about it at the time. But Olson had seen some horrific stuff and knew many, many secrets, and was reportedly trying to get out. Since his death, people have speculated: was he murdered?
Definitely.
Yeah.
Or was it suicide because of the LSD he'd been poisoned with, causing him to have a breakdown?
No, it was killed.
Nah, he was murdered.
And was he involved with poisoning Pont-Saint-Esprit with
Probably,
LSD.
Yeah,
probably,
definitely.
yeah.
There is evidence that he was possibly in France at the time.
Yeah,
Yeah, because he
definitely
was
would have
doing
been
it.
there.
And
But-
then he finally got a taste of his own medicine,
Yeah.
quite literally, and
He's
went,
like,
"Oh, that
oh.
was
Oh,
bad.
actually,
That was awful."
I don't want to be involved in this.
Actually, I hate Cointreau. Ugh, orange is disgusting
Yuck.
flavour. People say, but it was probably a coincidence he was in France, as he often spent time working in Europe. But other people say, nah, he did it.
Yeah,
Yeah, he did it.
He did
That's
it.
because he did it.
yeah. But
definitely.
those people are saying, "Nah, he did it because he did do it."
Yeah,
But not everyone agrees on Albarelli's theory about LSD and the CIA's
But
involvement.
they're wrong.
yeah.
'Cause it was
The
the
people who
CIA.
don't agree are in on it.
Yeah,
Because they do agree, but they're saying they don't
I
because
don't agree.
they're covering their own tracks.
Well,
That's right.
Kaplan, the guy who published the massive bread book in 2008,
Sorry.
11,000 pages.
Cursed bread.
Cursed Bread, he published in 2008, he insists that LSD could not have been responsible.
Of course, because he's all about the bread.
Yeah, the man loves bread.
He loves bread.
Well, he also doesn't think that it was ergot poisoning either.
What does he think
hates
then?
bread.
What does
Well,
he
let me
think?
get to that.
Why call it cursed bread if you hate bread? Fucking hell, I'm mad at this guy.
He rules out LSD on the grounds that the symptoms people suffered, though similar, he says, do not quite fit the drug. He told France 24 news site in 2010, I have numerous objections to this paltry evidence against the CIA. First of all, it's clinically incoherent. LSD takes effect in just a few hours, whereas the inhabitants showed symptoms only after 36 hours or more. Furthermore, LSD does not cause the digestive elements or the vegetative states described by the townspeople.
Okay, he's winning me
Digestive
over.
elements?
I'm so easily swung.
Yeah.
No, digestive ailments. 'Cause remember they all had
Ailments.
like diarrhea and vomiting and stuff like that?
Yeah,
He's like,
right.
people with LSD don't usually get that.
When-
And they were all having that.
Whatever Dave finishes with, I'll be like, oh, that was the real
Yeah.
one.
You are easy to sway.
But is it possible that they had LSD and something else, like grey bread?
Mm.
All
And
right,
that
so
gave
you've
him the
got
diarrhea,
from the bread and hallucinations from the LSD.
Yeah.
which is also in the bread.
Two things can happen at once.
Yeah.
Albarelli also points out that that LSD could not have survived the fierce temperatures of the baker's oven. But then Kasdan counters that by saying, yeah, they could have just added it to the bread after baking.
Yeah. You
And
know,
he's
like
like,
that dusting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That
A little
flour
dusting.
dusting could have been.
LSD.
But is LSD, is that a dustable substance?
Maybe.
It's more of a liquid, isn't it? That you soak the papers in and stuff.
Okay, druggy
Yeah,
McDrugston
okay.
over here.
Then tell us more. Tell us where's your stash. And say it into the microphone.
I'm only going off because last month we did a science
You did some
podcast,
LSD.
and they were talking about it a lot as we were doing LSD, and what they were saying.
It was a very generous podcast.
Yeah,
That's nice.
we did it over Zoom, so I don't. Yeah,
How'd they do
I
that?
don't know how they did it.
So it's like it's a digital thing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
He told us to lick the screen.
Wow.
We said, all right, Corey. All
do
right,
it.
I'm doing it. Kaplan also, as I said, rules out ergotism. But as far as I can work out, he doesn't have the answer as to what actually did cause the mass poisoning.
Right.
So he's saying it's not the LSD. It's not ergotism.
But he's bringing no new theories.
That's right.
He's just ruling out other stuff. God, he must be fun at a dinner party. Captain Negative over there.
Always
no,
ruling out. How about you rule
incorrect.
something in?
Yeah.
Well, I'm sorry to reveal that
I'm not. I know we're playing charades. I'll tell you what you're not acting out right now. Can't you just guess the movie I'm acting? No. It's certainly not Schindler's List, though. It's not 101 Dalmatians.
Yeah.
It's not.
So many fucking movies.
So-
And he's just listing all the ones it is. He's such a piece of shit.
It's not Rocky 2. It's not
Is it
Rocky,
Rocky 1?
3.
Is it Rocky 1?
It's not Rocky 4.
Is it fucking Rocky
it's
1?
not Rocky 5. It's not Rocky 1.
Oh, okay, good. Shit. That was my guess. But he doesn't know what did it, and I'm pleased to reveal that it's a mystery episode.
Yes.
Well, is it? Because I think we know that it's MK Ultra.
But do we know that, Matt? See, he's so easy to sway.
Yeah, that's right. Do you know that?
No, I guess I don't.
And do you want to say on the record that you think it was the CIA?
No, I love the CIA on the record.
Yes.
Love them. Love the
Love 'em.
Navy.
Mm-hmm.
Royal Blue. I was joking about that. That color can fuck off.
Yeah.
Navy all the way.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I love it. I love everything and everyone.
Mm-hmm.
And it's hard, but
You love Hitler?
Got him. Fucking smoked him. Say it.
Go on. Say you just lied. Say you love everything and everyone.
Okay, I lied. I don't love Hitler. You got me.
Do you love everything else?
Yes.
Oh.
So you love Nazis.
No. That's funny you say. On
The tables have turned.
the Sci Guys podcast, Corey pronounces Nazis.
Nazis.
And I'm like, you made it so cute.
Yeah, it's fun.
Sounds like a little cookie or something. Pass the Nazis. Want a Nazi with your cup of milk? Cup of warm milk and a Nazi? Thanks for popping over. Hey, before you go, have a couple of Nazis. Take some home for the kids.
Shortbread, Monte Carlo,
Nazi. That's stupid. Nazi.
Ooh, we're out of penguins. We've got some Nazis. Couple for the road.
What are penguins?
They're sort of Tim Tammy type thing.
Oh, yeah.
So, to this day, 70 plus years later, some are still calling on the French government to set up an inquiry to get to the bottom of what actually happened.
Yeah.
People
that
are not
feels
happy with it.
Honestly, have they not done a big inquiry into this?
They've done multiple.
Okay. And you've talked about them for the last hour or so?
But they all have different... They're like, maybe it was this, maybe...
Yeah.
Nothing's
Right.
conclusive, and they all sort of contradict each other. And then that was between the early 50s to early 70s, and since then it's sort of just been swept under the rug.
Right. Science has come on a bit since
Yeah.
then. But is anyone still living? Any of the key players?
Some very young people. I think a few years ago, who's the man that's the mayor of the town about 10 years ago came out and spoke to the BBC with their article and stuff like that, because he was a child in the town at the time, like 4 or 5 years old.
Yeah.
And it really left a big scar on the town, because a lot of people recovered, but then a few people it ruined their lives.
Yeah.
They had
the baker, for one.
I know. I feel bad for him.
But also some of the people was so badly poisoned that they couldn't go back to their jobs and things like that.
Yeah,
They couldn't,
their regular lives.
They couldn't do it anymore because they'd been so profoundly affected by the hallucinations, and it triggered something in their brains.
Well,
Wow.
I hope the CIA learnt something. I'm not talking about this in particular.
Sure.
So surely they didn't.
Just
do that.
generally.
That would be wild if the CIA did this.
Yeah.
Like that would be. It would be wild.
Yeah. It's like ethics just don't apply.
That's
crazy.
That's why I can't. It's hard to believe that is possible that this was done on purpose.
Yeah,
I know, but then I also was shocked when I read that thing about them just spraying San Francisco with the bacteria.
No, they definitely could have done it, but it is just wild that they.
Yeah.
Because I was reading that going, no, what the fuck?
Yeah.
And that poor baker just being the scapegoat,
If
blamed and then just never recovering a
Being
business.
a patsy.
He's a patsy.
Do you want a couple of patsies before we go?
Patsy or a Nazi
no,
or...
I shouldn't. Really shouldn't. I just had a Terry's chocolate orange, bit full.
It's not Terry's. It's mine.
We love your culture. If it was the bread, as to whether it could happen again, thankfully that's very unlikely these days, as ergotism is extremely rare, although it does pop up from time to time in very poverty-stricken places, but not very much anymore.
And Liza Minnelli.
Yes, that's right. God bless her. In France, there are now rules regulating the quality of bread that are taken very seriously. I learned this introduced in the early 1990s. The so-called Baguette laws state that for any place to have the right to call itself a boulangerie, like a French bakery, they must bake bread on the same premises they're sold, and each baguette must include only 4 ingredients: flour, water, yeast, and salt. So they all have to make their own bread from scratch.
It's like the German beer purity laws.
Yeah, it totally is.
Love it.
There can be no preservatives or additives, and it can't be frozen at any stage. And there are even rules as to how long, wide, and high they should be. They should be about 65 centimeters long for it to be a standard baguette.
Wow, that's big.
Suddenly, I found myself looking at a bunch of baguette facts.
Oh my god,
So
yum.
just tell me if this is fun or just yum.
Can we get baguettes for lunch? Is there anywhere that sells baguettes? Remember at the old studio, there was a bakery across the road that sold baguettes.
Oh, yeah.
Whoa.
Was it just a baguette or did it have stuff in it?
I think they had stuff in it.
Oh, my God, yeah.
Yeah, okay. We're turning off the mics.
Maybe
and
some
having a-
fromage.
Yes.
What does that mean?
Cheese.
Okay, yeah, fantastic.
Fantastic.
The first time I went to France. France. The first day we went out, had baguettes with camembert
Yep.
and mustard,
Yep.
and it was so freaking good.
Yeah.
So
My friends and
simple,
I-
hardly anything, but just so good.
My friends and I sat under the Eiffel Tower with baguettes and cheese and probably ham and like just a bunch of things, just eating a little picnic. Heaven.
Oui, oui.
Beautiful day.
Great food. Great food.
Heaven. Probably means heaven.
Oh,
Probably. If it doesn't.
I can basically speak French. Le heaven.
The heaven.
The heaven.
Mm.
you know what it is? Paradis.
Oh, so, I mean,
better,
that's
that's
basic, but
better.
it's basically the thing I did.
Yeah.
Paradis.
Working off the same paradis.
Oh, paradis.
Paradis.
I forgot that half the
You
letters
put
are
an
silent.
L in there.
Paradis.
No. I don't know. You put a G in there.
Paradis.
No. It's so offensive.
Right, here we go. Let's get ready for our main course with some baguette facts.
Yum.
In France, there are 30,000 boulangeries. That's people that are ticking these boxes.
Man,
Make
I
their
want to
own
go to a
bread.
boulangerie.
Every day in France, more than 30 million baguettes are sold and eaten. 30 million.
I thought when I was in France, I thought it was the funniest thing that, you know, the French stereotype as a kid, you know, the cartoon character of a French person is wearing a stripy
Stripes.
shirt, a beret, and is holding a baguette.
Or they're on a bicycle with
And
a baguette in the basket.
And that is one of the first people I saw when I went into Paris. Someone rode past, like a group of French people.
Rode past the Irish pub you were in.
Yeah.
And they looked just like that?
Yeah.
Crazy.
Oh, but my friend lives in France now, in Paris, just outside of Paris. So I was hanging out with him and just like living it up like a local, basically.
Yeah.
And I couldn't believe like there were no berets, but everyone was getting around with baguettes. People walking home just holding baguettes.
Yeah.
Couldn't believe it, and I loved it. But they're different over there. I don't know why they're different, but they just taste
Better.
Because they've got the standard way they make them.
Yeah, because you hear that bullshit about certain things. Oh, you taste better from the source. You know, they say that about Guinness, and I reckon the Guinness here tastes similar to the Guinness in Ireland. But baguettes, a whole nother level over there. Can't explain why. Even though you just did.
On average, French people spend 2 hours and 13 minutes a day eating and drinking.
Baguettes.
Love that.
They drink baguettes. They eat baguettes.
How long do we spend eating and drinking?
No, but see, over there, if you like work at a place, like I'm trying to think of it.
If you have a job,
Yeah, like they all have a proper break to eat, and they all have like cafeterias
yeah.
where they go and sit down. You have a hot meal every day at work. Whereas when I was working in an office, I'm having a sandwich whilst I'm still working over the computer. You know, trying to get it done. But they take a break. They respect their eating time. Appreciate that.
I was thinking about that recently. I eat too quick. Gotta take your time to enjoy it. I don't know. I like the French. I don't know. I've been joking about the French being a bit snooty, but that's just a stereotype. Although I did do a gig recently, and there were. I was asking the crowd. I was emceeing, so I was asking the crowd, "Hey, how you having fun?" And asking people in particular, you know, just warming them up. And I asked this woman. She's like, "I'm okay." I'm like, "Okay, yeah, great. You up for a good time?" Yeah. Like, all right, no worries.
Perfect, just what you want.
And then in the break, I was talking to some of the other acts, and they're like, how about that row of French people in the middle? I'm like, okay, that makes sense. So then when I started the second bracket, I said, hey, I've heard you're French. And she's like, oui. And I said, that makes sense. Oh, I thought you were just being an asshole. But yeah.
Welcome to our country.
Welcome to our country. In our culture, the way you're behaving is rude. But I didn't realize you were French. And I love cultural differences.
Cultural difference.
It's a cultural
Beautiful.
difference.
Yeah.
I go over there and they think I'm obnoxious.
Yeah.
Because I'm
Just over there. Just over there is obnoxious.
I got to tone it down next time I go there. Now that I know, because I don't
Yeah.
think I realised the social differences.
Yeah, because you're walking into cafes going, "Are you pumped to be here? How we feeling tonight, Paris? Let me hear you, brother.
Can I get a soy flat white over here?
How good is it to be alive?" Oh, no.
And they're like, oh.
You would be the same, Dave. I was always spoilt when I was going around with my friend who could speak fluent French. And you, when you're over there, you probably normally are with your wife.
Oh, I just put my wife in front of me and she just speaks and it's fantastic.
Did you ever get trapped by yourself without her? Not trapped.
Yeah,
but
yeah. Like I'm in line for like a gift shop or something, and
Yeah.
I get up there and they're talking, and I'm like, "Oh, where is she? My translator." I don't understand. I haven't had to learn. Oh no, she's in the bathroom. Fuck.
On the
Text her, quick,
Help
get
me.
here, get here.
I had the same on the last day I was there. He'd gone to work, and I'm like, I'll go to what are they called? Boulangeries. Boulangeries.
Look, I'm saying that wrong, you know.
Boulangerie.
Again, I didn't have to learn.
I'll go down to my local Boulangerie. I'll
So-
get myself a baguette.
I'll say bon to Jerry, and then we'll fucking get going.
But I'm like, oh, I'd learnt what no meat or something meant.
Yeah.
So I just wanted a thing that didn't have meat in it, and I must have said the exact opposite.
Extra
Perfect.
meat.
So they gave me this. It was so full of meat. I'm like, grazie, merci.
Panicking.
Yeah,
Back
full
away.
panicking.
Thank you.
I'm like, oh no. Yeah, exactly.
Throw it in a bin right out the front.
In like the middle of Paris, most places would stop you and go, it's okay, I speak English.
Yeah.
You're embarrassing yourself
Yeah,
and me.
Yeah.
Exactly. I feel so awkward.
You'll try, you're like, merci, and they're like, hi, how can I help you?
Yeah.
You're like, thank you so much, I'm so
Oh,
sorry.
God.
But in other places where they did speak English, that was where you're like, ugh.
Yeah.
Fuck.
Arnie, please. Yeah, if he's in the bathroom or something, like, un momento.
My friend will sort this out. Final baguette fact. In April 1944, Le Grand Prix de la Baguette was started in France.
Okay.
It's a competition to determine who makes the best baguettes. The contest winner receives 4,000 euros and gets to supply daily bread to the French president for a whole year until a new winner is proclaimed.
Is it, but like, are you paid well
Yeah,
for that?
Okay.
I looked. That's the phrasing that this website used. Apparently, you get a contract to do it, so it is quite prestigious, and
like,
you get paid a lot of money.
It's just for the president, or it's for his like whole house?
I think it's for his whole staff. And
So that's
as well.
a lot. That's actually a lot of work.
Yes.
And then are you trying to run your business?
Yeah,
at
so
the
if
same
you're like
time?
a small boulangerie, you're like, we can't.
I can't do that.
What?
I
but
can't
yes,
keep my shop
I do
open
like that.
and feed the president.
I do like. You get to supply daily bread to the
Yeah.
French president. Oh,
You bring
great.
it in on your little bicycle.
Who's the president at the moment? Is it Macron still?
in. He got back in.
Got back in. Is he good? Do the French people like him? I guess they do, obviously, if they voted him
Enough
back
of
in.
them like him to get in.
I mean, does anybody like politicians?
Yeah, no, that's a fair call.
You know?
No, but that's my report on the 1951 Pont-Saint-Esprit mass poisoning. I'm afraid I don't have all the answers because it's still debated 70 years later. But there's some theories. But what we do know is it was a wild few days in that
Yeah,
town.
it sounds awful and
Wild.
crazy, and it was the CIA. And now,
Yeah.
now that I've said that, if I go missing,
Yeah.
Oh my
like
goodness.
it's clearly the CIA.
Oh.
If you fall from a window,
Yeah, I don't fall from windows.
No, you've never fallen from a window.
No.
is that true? You've never fallen from a window
No,
before this?
I'm not a clumsy idiot.
Mm.
Wow, I've fallen from several, so don't worry if it happens to me. Probably was an accident.
Ah!
Oh,
He keeps doing it.
Yeah, just try and avoid standing near windows.
I always do.
Because I imagine that's what the CIA does. They're just waiting patiently for someone to be standing in an open window.
but we record in a studio without windows these days, so
That's on purpose.
They'll never
baby.
get us.
That's on purpose.
no snipers, no falling from windows. Tick tick.
Fantastic report, Dave.
Merci beaucoup. Well, that brings us to everyone's favourite section of the show where we get to thank some of our fantastic supporters who support us on patreon.com/dogonpod. These are the people who make this show live.
Yeah.
And how nice is it to be alive? Bob, what are some things people can do if they get involved at our Patreon?
Sorry, You stopped a sentence in
Yep.
a confusing...
And I wasn't sure if I was going to go on or not.
Yeah,
you were
right.
about to come in there,
Sorry.
so I left it, and then
Nah, that's on me.
some of my thoughts and pauses are unnaturally long. So you're used to talking to normal people who'd be like,
right.
if they stopped for that long,
Yep.
it would be over. But you're like, but that was in the middle of a
Doesn't make
sentence.
sense. Things that you can enjoy over on Patreon include 3 bonus episodes a month, including Phrasing the Bar, our Brendan Fraser filmography podcast. You get early access to live shows. You get the Facebook group, which is the friendliest section of the internet, and you also get to submit fact, quote, or question if you are on the Sydney Scheinberg Deluxe level or above.
There's also heaps of bonus mini reports, including what I believe is a fantastic one about MK Ultra. If you want to hear a slightly different take, I assume I have genuinely no memory of it at all.
No.
Really, I remember we recorded it at my house though.
Really?
Yeah, my old place. That's one thing I do recall.
No memory of that.
Either I was there.
No memory
and
of
I
your
was
old place.
on Zoom. No.
No, I'm kidding.
How dare you? How dare you not remember my old place? Anyway, one of the first things we like to do is shout out to people on our Sydney Scheinberg level, and they get to give us a fact, quote, or question. And this section actually has a little jingle, goes something like this.
Fact, quote, or question.
He always remembers the ding. She always remembers the sing. That's what the Patreon messaged me saying. You should say sing.
Oh, that's good.
I wish I remembered who it was. And I could have thanked them then, but you know who you are, and you know what you've done. Now, in this section, if you're on the Sydney Scheinberg level, you get to give us a fact, quote, or question, or brag or suggestion, or really whatever you like.
Yeah, it can be anything.
Someone gave us a recipe at one point.
Yep.
And you also get to give yourself a title. This week, the first one comes from Derek Brigham, aka travel agent of the podcast stars.
Ooh.
And Derek is offering a suggestion.
Okay.
That's how the French people probably say it.
Suggestion.
Suggestion.
Yep.
Writing, I've got a recommendation for a place to go when the North American tour gets back on track. If you find yourself in Portland, Oregon, you should go check out the Oregon Museum of Science and Industry, better known as OMSI. There you can get some hands-on fun with the physics and chemistry exhibits.
Oh, great sentence.
Or test your lateral thinking with the puzzles they have set up. You can head over to the planetarium and relax under a starry sky, or catch the laser light show. That sounds pretty fun. It sounds like Science Works, only better.
Yeah.
Better?
Well, I don't know.
Like Questacon.
Different. There is a featured exhibit that rotates subjects. The last time I went, it was on the life of Nelson Mandela. They also have smaller exhibits that rotate out, and on my last trip, they had one on the animation studio Leica. Oh, which I think they did a film that I watched on Primates. Can't remember. Something in the somethings. Something in the something strings.
Uh-huh.
It was awesome. It looked amazing. I think Leica is like a sick animation studio.
How do you spell that?
Laika. And I got to see the actual dolls used for their films, such as Coraline and Paranorman. Now, if I haven't sold you on this experience yet, this last item will absolutely will. will. I love that.
Exciting.
It's practically tailor-made for Jess. Oh, pressure's on now.
We'll see.
You see, OMSI is right on the river and docked right outside for you to tour on the USS Blueback, a decommissioned diesel submarine. From the OMSI website, get a glimpse of how a crew of 85 lived on the Blueback for months, plus peer through a periscope, touch a torpedo, climb a bunk, and much more.
Ooh.
Touch a torpedo.
Touch a torpedo is so funny.
What are you doing to that torpedo?
Touching it.
With what?
Definitely
Your
sounds like a
hands.
euphemism, doesn't
Oh,
it?
okay.
Stop
just
touching
touching
your
it.
Stop touching your torpedo, Jason.
What's wrong with you two?
I want to kick the torpedo.
No.
Okay.
Oh.
You
You're
may only touch it.
You must be very flexible to kick your own torpedo.
I am.
I don't think you do have to be very flexible.
Okay.
Everyone at home, stop the podcast and have a go.
I'm not flexible enough. Thank you very much, Derek, for that suggestion.
I'm doing it right now.
I'd love to get to Portland, Oregon. Go Trailblazers.
Yep.
The next one comes from James Edwards, aka Major Catastrophe.
Hey.
And James is offering a quote, writing, "After my last fact got an on-air actually from Jess." I should see.
Really?
What do you want me to see if I can find out what it was?
I'll probably forget.
Let's see.
Get ready to actually all over again.
Yeah.
It was. Oh, there are only 4 words in the English language which end in dous, D-O-U-S. Can you name them? Tremendous, horrendous, stupendous.
Yeah, that's right.
And you just started listing off heaps more, didn't you?
Yeah.
Hazardous.
Mostly because I Googled it.
Yeah, that is a, yeah. So yeah, can you please try not to actually this one for
we'll
once
see.
in your life?
Maybe do a little of your own fact checking then,
That's
James.
right. Just get it right and we won't have to worry about it.
But yeah, go on.
So
Hit us with your best shot.
this time James is offering a quote.
Oh, it's safe, isn't it?
Incorrect.
You all seem to like George W. Bush's "Fool Me" quote. You are correct.
Can't get fooled again.
That is maybe my favorite quote.
Can't get fooled again.
He says the full wording, which is, "There's an old saying in Tennessee. I know it's in Texas, probably in Tennessee, that says, 'Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me, you can't get fooled again.'" It's even
So
better.
funny.
The extra bit adds to it.
Yeah.
What a great! I forgot that he starts out by saying it's an old saying in Tennessee, and then saying, "Well, it's in Texas, probably in Tennessee." Like, that's so great.
Incredible.
That's all fantastic. I feel like if anyone, I must have so many Bushisms of my own that I've done on this show. You know, just.
Now watch this drive.
A couple, James continues, a couple of my other fave Bushisms are, they misunderestimated me.
Oh, that's good.
Also, rarely is the question asked, is our children learning? That is very good.
That's so good.
And my absolute favorite, I know how hard it is to put food on your family.
It is hard. They're quick.
He says, "God bless America. Love you guys. Looking forward to seeing Matt and Dave in London." James, we will have already been. And we're looking forward to that in reverse, which is remembering.
Remembering it fondly.
Yes. So good. Yeah, Watch This Drive is up there as well, Dave. That's another classic.
I've just looked up the full quote is, "I call upon all nations to do everything they can to stop these terrorist killers. Thank you. Now watch this drive."
Oh my God. It's horrendous.
That's fantastic. All right. And next one comes from Kelly Clark, who I hung out with a bit in Perth when I was over there a month or so back. We went, after the first show, she was there with a few other Patreon supporters hanging out. And when I came out and had a drink with them, we were chatting, had a great time. And then just before the bar was closing up, a glass got thrown, and it wasn't that close to him. It was, like half a meter from my head, and the guy who threw it missed the guy I was aiming at by miles. It was like a fight was almost broken out, but it never really did.
Holy shit.
And I was like, it's so nice to get some Perth culture. And they all felt a bit. They're like, oh, this. I'm sorry that they were very apologetic for Perth. I'm like, no, this happens everywhere.
Yeah.
Obviously, ideally it doesn't happen all the time, but I'm like, it's not the first time I've seen an attempted glassing. But
It's not the first time someone's tried to throw something at your head.
But then we went to a jazz club up the road, and I'm like, what a fun difference. What am I trying to say here?
Juxtaposition.
Sure.
Was anything thrown at you at this venue?
No,
just smooth jazz.
Ooh,
There was this jazz combo played for the next. We were there for about an hour. It was great.
Great.
So much fun. Anyway, Kelly Clark, aka Chief of the Plain Name Clan. Oh, yeah, Kelly Clark
Kelly Clark is pretty plain.
It's pretty
Say
plain.
that with love.
But it's also Kelly Clark. It's sort of got that hard-hitting curse sounds. Kelly Clark.
Yeah,
it still sort of
Cla
sounds like
is fun too.
Yeah.
Cla.
It's got a bit of a pop star vibe about it.
Okay.
Is that because it's very close to Clarkson?
Probably, yes. Yeah, that's what my brain was probably saying. Anyway, Kelly has a suggestion writing, Kaya Yama from Wajak Noongar country, which is, I'm guessing, the indigenous name for the Perth area. Mm-hmm. I'd really love to hear an acknowledgement of country as part of the podcast intro. I don't know if it'd be before the theme music or during it. I love this pod, and the only thing it lacks is this. Bloody hell, we're just one piece of the puzzle short.
Yeah, that's the only thing it lacks. I would have said substance.
Yes,
or
ability to edit bad riffs out.
Ability to form words properly.
Yeah, speaking. Remember just before, and I couldn't think of juxtaposition?
Yeah.
I'm sure that would have been edited nicely down to make me sound pretty quick.
You're just like, juxtaposition.
Juxtaposition. Like a TikTok voice. Yeah, great call, Kelly. And good timing, because we've been looking into that and kind of considering that for a little while as well. By the time you're hearing this, because we are recording ahead of time, by the time you're hearing this is probably it would be in the show notes. At least, and we're looking into the logistics, the easiest way to slot in an acknowledgement of country. But great call. I don't hear many podcasts doing it just yet, which it would be nice to hear more of. But yeah, good suggestion.
Yeah, like at the comedy festival shows, I'll do it.
Yep.
Or it's a welcome to country rather than an acknowledgement of country.
That's right, yeah.
The late great Uncle Jack.
Yeah.
The recent ones. Yeah, so I think it's a cool part of it.
Absolutely.
Is it worth explaining to overseas listeners?
Oh, yeah, good call. So, I mean, an acknowledgement of country is, you'd hear it at the start of shows or at meetings and stuff in Australia, and it would be where people would say we acknowledge the traditional owners on the land on which we're meeting today. For us, where we record in Brunswick, we're in Wurundjeri land, in Naarm, Melbourne, but there's so many different lands and cultures all around Australia, which is very, very cool.
That's right. And if you're not a local Indigenous person from that country, you can't do a welcome to country, but you can do an acknowledgement to country, I understand it.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, great. Oh, thanks for that suggestion, Kelly. And yeah, I think I said to Kelly that we got to go over and do a do go on over there at some point, Perth. Maybe next year.
Were you questioning it when the glass came at your head, but then you were back on board when that smooth jazz overtook your body?
I think maybe that's why they were apologetic. Don't tell Dave and Jess.
Don't tell them. Because honestly,
please still come over.
I just cancelled my flight.
Hello, Jetstar.
Is that you?
Hello, Tiger. What? You're not in business anymore?
What?
What?
I'm under what?
The final one this week comes from Stephen Edmonds, a.k.a. provider of an alternative to the Devonshire or Cornish method.
Okay. This is going to be psycho.
This is going to be a sloppy mess.
Well, it could be. Maybe it's half-half. Okay. I never thought of that.
Maybe eats it straight up. Plain.
Oh, my God.
No jam, no cream.
Stephen, if
no
that's
fun.
it.
There's also the option of... I saw someone talk about you just make it, a scone sandwich.
Yeah.
That way, neither is on top and bottom.
Ugh.
Right, okay.
Sounds like a coward's way out.
Stephen's asked a question writing, which book has been in print since 1966 and has likely been used by all three Do Go On members? All right. So, yeah, I like it. Often the question is, asked, this is more like a trivia question or a riddle. I'm not sure which.
It's been in print since
I'm guessing it's
it's got to be something from school.
Or it's the Saints premiership, story.
Yep, that would have been used by all of us.
Since 1966, but it's not necessarily starting in 1966.
No.
So it could be the Bible.
Oh.
Yeah, well...
Guinness Book of Records.
Oh,
that's true.
What year was the Guinness Book of Records?
Could have been that
It was way earlier than that, wasn't it?
Dave, no Googling, mate. Look at Dave Googling.
First Guinness
Everyone,
Book
he's
of Records.
Googling, please.
I've just typed in, what is this guy talking about?
What about 1966 was the first year decimal currency came in.
Yeah. So what book would we have used?
Well,
Book of stamps. We've all used stamps.
no,
A checkbook.
Dave.
A checkbook.
Oh, which I've never used.
All right. Do you want
Never
me
used a checkbook? Never written a check?
I don't think I've ever written a check. No.
Let me answer the question.
Okay.
Cookery, the Australian way. I've never heard of
Yeah.
it. Now in its 8th edition and said to be the best and most reliable cookbook ever published for Australian schools. Oh, maybe I have seen it
Yeah,
then.
you've seen it.
That doesn't ring a bell. But I never did cooking class at school.
You incredibly
Home-
overestimate my abilities to cook.
Home ec. Is that? Oh, no, I do recognise. Yeah, no, I have seen this book. Now that I'm Googling a picture of it.
I legit have not.
Huh. There you go.
I'm no chef. Though last night I tried to cook eggplant parmigiana.
And how did it go? Because you said tried.
Yeah, I cut them up too small and ended up making a casserole, but it was quite nice. It was quite nice.
Stephen says, I still have my copy, 4th edition, and
Wow.
there is a recipe that I refer to which has these ingredients. 300 grams self-raising flour. Get your pens ready, listeners. 1 tablespoon of butter. How was it today we were talking about this?
Yeah.
A
Feels
qu-
like years ago, doesn't it?
a 1/4 teaspoon of salt.
Yep.
So there's the 2 teaspoons.
Yeah, that's
As in starting with tea.
and have they written out teaspoon or is it tea?
It is written
Okay.
out teaspoon.
Good,
yeah.
that helps me.
That's a
3/4 cup of water. 1/4 teaspoon cayenne pepper. Cayenne?
Oh, okay.
cayenne pepper.
Cayenne pepper, 1/4 teaspoon mustard powder, 80 grams grated tasty cheese.
Okay.
Rub butter into flour, mix into dough, roll and cut into shapes, bake for 10 to 15 minutes. Savory
Savoury.
cheese scones.
Savory scones.
Keep the jam and cream away from these. Not in the book, but a fantastic addition is chopped up bacon, cooked and let to mostly cool before mixing into the dough. Stephen Edmonds, you're a gentleman, you're a squire, you're a scholar, and thank you so much for this beautiful trip down memory lane, which is just in the far reaches of my brain. So yeah, cheers to that. I hope someone cooks that at home. Dave, I reckon that's the kind of thing you could cook.
That does sound good.
You should make that.
Okay.
Thank you so much, Stephen, Kelly, James, and Edward. So James and Derek. James's surname is
and Edward.
Edwards. Another thing we like to do is shout out to some of our other fantastic Patreon supporters.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Jess, you normally come up with a bit of a game based on these the episode topic at hand.
Yeah, and we're naming their 11,000 page book
Oh, brilliant.
based off Cursed Bread.
Okay.
11,000 page books. All of these people have written them.
Exactly 11,000.
11,000,
Love that.
not 11,001.
No.
And they haven't padded to get to 11,000.
No, this-
These have only been published because they hit 11,000 perfectly.
Fantastic.
That's so good.
And there's a few people I'm looking at. All 3 of mine are from the address unknown. Well, you got to assume from deep within the fortress of the moles. Also deep from within the fortress of not getting a Christmas card. And I hope, because I think people don't realize they don't have their addresses in. So I think I want to try and mention this a bit more. If you want your Christmas card for next year, make sure you go into the Patreon and add your address in. You've probably selected, maybe accidentally, maybe on purpose. There's a box ticked to say, please don't send anything.
Yeah.
But every year we get people saying, hey, I didn't get my Christmas card. I think a lot of the people who don't get them are because they don't realize they haven't put their address in. Anyway, I'd love to thank, firstly, from Address Unknown, it is Katie McCracken.
Oh, it's such a good name.
Such a great name. Such a great
Such a
name.
good name.
What is Katie's book on?
6 bottles of rum and a go-kart.
That's fucking sick, Dave.
Thank you.
I mean, Cursed Bread sucks, so I thought they'd be like bad or kind of lame titles.
Sorry, that's too good.
That is so good.
6
So
bottles.
good.
You read that and you go, what is this about?
I'm at bare minimum in a bookshop or at the airport bookshop, because that's where I love to browse.
Yes.
I am picking
Nothing
that
but
one
this.
up. I'm turning it around. I'm reading that blurb.
What's that about?
100%.
6 bottles of rum and a go-kart.
That is so good. Well,
Well, what's it about? It's about a really horrific go-kart accident.
Yeah.
Yeah. I should not have been driving.
as a result of 6 bottles of rum.
Thank you very much, Katie McCracken. That beat out my idea of Scottish egg baking tips. But
we have like so many more.
Oh man, why burn a great 1,100-page book?
Well, it was only because of the McCracken. I don't think it would work for anyone else.
Okay, because I went Kraken rum.
Yeah, right. I see. We're all going Kraken. That's
great, Kraken.
I'd also love to thank, from address unknown, John Williams.
As in the composer?
Wow.
Yes, I always get confused between Williams and Williamson. Which one's the Star Wars guy? Which one is the, hey, True Blue?
True Blue. He's a true Australian son. That's him.
Is it
Williams'
me
son.
and you?
Williams is the composer.
Is it mom and dad? Is it a cockatoo? Is it standing by your mates when they're in a fight? Or will she be right? True Blue.
Oh, that's so good.
So I think that's the title.
I love it.
Yeah.
Or will she be right?
Or will she be right? Or will she be right?
Or,
Question mark?
Or will she be right? I mean, I'm reading that blurb.
Maybe just will she be right?
Will she be right?
Will she be right?
Will she be right?
Question mark.
Yeah.
And John Williams won a lot of awards, many Academy Awards. He's also been nominated for a Razzie,
Ooh.
but hasn't quite got it. So.
Has he been? So he's a nominated Ergot.
Yes, because I'm not sure. I don't think he has all of he's won 25 Grammys,
Wow.
5 Academy Awards, 4 Golden Globes. And he's had 52 Academy Award nominations, which is second only to Walt Disney.
Wow.
But I don't know if he's got a Tony.
Nah, he hasn't really gone into the musical theatre space yet.
Yeah, give him time. He is only 90 years old.
Yeah, he can do it. If anybody can, it's John Williams.
I wonder if John Williams from Address Unknown is not yet sick of people bringing up the composer.
Or John Williamson.
Oh yeah, that probably depending on which
Mole
fortress
Fortress
he's in. He will either be baffled or sick of that as well. And finally, another mole person. It's Olga Prifty.
Olga Prifty.
Yeah, that's a Hall of Fame name.
That's incredible. Olga's already really good.
Olga, you could be Olga Johnson, and that's fantastic.
Incredible.
But-
Olga Smith
Yeah.
is so good.
But Olga Prifty, holy shit, that's elevated to
So freaking
upper
good.
echelon.
Yeah. And that's the name of the book. Upper Echelon.
Upper echelon.
Yeah.
What's it about?
Oh, I mean, I it's one of those things I can't
Yeah,
I can't really tell you much about it without giving anything away.
it'd be too much of a spoiler.
Yeah, just trust me and read it. It's a bit like when somebody first suggested the documentary Catfish to me.
Okay.
They said, "Don't worry about it, just watch it." And I said, "Wow, that was
Really?
a film." Yeah, loved it.
Yeah.
Now it's a whole series.
Upper echelon's also about catfishing.
Matt,
Oh no. Sorry.
Fucking hell, man.
come
Oh,
on.
God. I don't know what I did. Edit that. Bleep that out in the edit.
You will sound so bad if they bleep it. It's
Also about
this is about and us going, no, man, you can't say that.
Yeah, leave it in. Don't edit that out. Don't bleep that.
Whoa, Matt, you can't say that on a podcast. Holy shit, it's the 21st century, man.
Yeah, no, please
Sorry,
don't bleep
gonna have
that.
to pull you up on that one, mate.
Wow. Honestly,
I
think
cannot stand idly by.
wow.
There's something very funny about bleeping something and making it worse than it is. You know, like that viral video a few years ago of the count on Sesame Street.
Oh.
But they bleeped out every time he said counting. So it sounded like he was saying fucking.
That's fun.
That's fun.
That's good.
Can I thank some people as well?
Oh, that would please me no end.
Oh my god. You can't say that on a podcast.
That would bleep me no end.
Oh,
no,
Matt.
man.
Oh.
I would love to thank, again, from deep within the Fortress of the Moles, and with no surname, so a lot to work with here,
Ooh,
James.
James.
What about torpedoes for all?
Ooh.
Torpedoes for all.
I was going to go, don't call me Jimmy.
What about torpedoes for all in brackets? Don't call me Jimmy.
That's good.
When you've got two
we've got
great
his-
titles and you can't.
We've got his surname in the email address, but if he hasn't put it down, we've got to assume he doesn't want us to, right?
That's what I usually, that's my rule
Let's
of
say
thumb.
James S.
Okay.
You've said too much.
Okay.
And we also had a title ready.
Sorry. Oh, yeah.
We've done it.
Yeah, it was great. I loved it. But I was just like, I'm just thinking, it's such a common name that he'd be like, wonder if that was me.
Yeah, it's no location. It's just you,
Let's try and,
James.
if there are any other clues we can give him. Okay. Your name reminds me of going
Here we go.
to the post office.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Is that vague enough?
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
That's good.
You
Yeah,
get
yeah.
James? Jimmy?
Yeah.
No, don't call me Jimmy.
Come on, Jimmy.
Maybe the elephant post office.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. We're getting too close to the bone here.
Yeah, that's enough. Shut up now. Thank you, James.
S.
Mr.
Mr. S.
Would also love to thank from Pensacola,
Oh, I love
Florida.
this. Pensacola.
Anthony Brown.
Anthony Brown.
See, that's the opposite of Olga Prifty.
But it's still a great name.
Anthony Brown.
AB. I like it. Anthony Brown. Yeah, big fan of that. Florida man, Anthony Brown.
Sounds like a quarterback.
Yeah, he does.
Yeah.
There are a few Browns. I think there's a few.
There's a whole team.
It's crazy.
Oh, yeah. Anthony Brown. Yeah, the Big Book of Brown. And it's
It's a coffee
11
table book.
Yeah, every page is a different
1100
shade.
1100-page coffee table book is so good.
Well, that's like in the shade chapter. Obviously, it's 11,000 pages, so there's also just brown things.
Oh, yeah.
Is there-
Trees.
There are a few pages where like you can touch brown's fabric and
Yeah.
feel that.
No.
Yeah, there is. Yeah.
You can feel like you can see
Touch
brown.
brown.
You can,
It's got a scratch and sniff element to it as well.
Yeah, you can smell
You
brown.
can smell brown.
I've always wanted to.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Do you remember the Martin Malloy album, the Brown album? I remember on the CD booklet, or maybe on the back or on the booklet, there was a page of all different shades of brown, and then the last one was blue, and it was just said not brown or something like that. That's good stuff.
That's good
Good
stuff. That's
stuff.
comedy. Finally, for me, I would love to thank from London.
Oh, London.
Love to thank Anya Clarkson.
Anya Clarkson.
Anya Clarkson. Okay.
Anya Clarkson. Meditative relaxation
Okay.
for dogs.
Oh,
great.
that's good.
Mhm.
And it's meditative if that's the real, whatever the right word is.
Yep. It's that.
Yep. Okay.
That's good. And dogs need that.
Yes.
They need to chill the fuck
Calm the
out.
hell
Do
down.
you know what I mean?
And they love a long book.
They love a long book. They love to rip through it. Dave, would you like to thank some people?
Hey, I would love to. I would love to thank from another location unknown, Edward Duffy.
Edward
Duffy.
What about 6 great uses for sticky tape?
Oh, that's good. What are they?
I'll-
Just spoil a couple of them for me.
Well, it goes for 11,000 pages.
Oh, true, but you've only got 6.
Yeah, so we're quite detailed. Well, Edward is.
Okay.
Quite
so like
detailed.
wrapping presents.
Okay, that's the first 600 chapters.
Fixing glasses when they break.
88 chapters.
You fold it over on itself, making a little loop, and then you can use it to stick one thing to another thing.
That's only one chapter, but it is about 2,000 pages.
Okay. What else can you use sticky tape for?
What about you? You can roll it around your face and it makes your face look a bit funny.
Yeah, that's fun.
Like Jim Carrey did on Yes Man.
Yeah.
Right, I haven't seen it, but I imagine that's funny.
What about if you make a frame, and I wasn't listening to anything you've said, so you
Sounds
might have said
about
it was right, but you just wrap it around and it sort of makes it like a makeshift glass for a window.
Oh, yeah, that's nice.
Great, so that's 5. We don't want to spoil the last one.
Okay.
So obviously, pick up the book, Edward's book.
It's about fingerprints.
Fuck. Well, still, he goes into great detail, so
Yeah.
Beautiful.
it's worth it. It's worth the. What do these 11,000 page books cost? It must be a lot.
Yeah.
I mean, books are per page.
Yeah, you pay per page.
Yeah,
P per
So,
page.
kids' books are so cheap.
Yeah.
piece of piss, 7 pages.
Whatever. And
this
it
free?
takes them ages.
Yeah.
So dumb.
Just
You're a
read quicker.
kid, pretty
Kids
stupid.
are so dumb.
Read better.
Read faster.
Grow up. Grow up,
Grow up.
you
Don't
children.
even roll over,
Ugh.
idiot.
Can't they? Children can't roll over.
When they're small.
Okay. You think of babies?
Yeah. What are babies if not children?
So you think of... So what, like toddlers and onwards as adults? Pre-toddler, child.
No, I'm saying born child.
Yeah. Yes.
As soon as you can roll over, fucking
Adult.
hold a conversation,
Yeah.
then you're a peer.
Okay. You're a confidant, and I appreciate you.
But before you're able to sit at the table and read the paper,
Yeah.
shut up.
Shut up. Fuck off. And take a walk. Hey, take a walk up a
You
short
can't walk,
pier.
okay.
Take a long roll off a short pier, okay?
Thanks, Edward. You've inspired us. I'd like to thank also from London, and if this name's real, it's the best one ever. Hannah Oblivion.
Oh,
can't
Hannah
be.
Oblivion.
Oh,
O
can't be
apostrophe
real.
Oblivion.
That is so good.
Hannah, that's amazing.
That can't be. I'm going to need to see a birth certificate.
Yep.
That's good
Hannah.
stuff.
Go get it.
Hand it over.
Hand it over. Show us what you got.
Hannah Oblivion. Oh, God.
What about Livian in Oblivion?
Fuck
Oblivion,
yes.
Oblivion.
You're
Auto-
on fire today, Dave.
Thank
I'm
you.
really struggling with my own
Autobiography?
game, but you're nailing it.
Yeah.
I'm doing my own thing at this end of the table.
Autobiography.
Yeah, it might sound like the Matt's mic's gone out of sync, but he is still talking to us. It's just going solo. I'm not going to my own
What do you
podcast.
think? Autobiography.
I think that was the thing on the Brown album. There was one track.
He is on his own
He
podcast.
also said, "Do you guys remember the Martin Malloy album, The Brother?" And I said, "No,"
No.
and he just kept
There
talking.
was one track that you could pan left or right, and you either got a sketch by Tony Martin or a sketch by Mick Malloy, depending on which side
That's very fun.
But
Yeah.
you could put it in the middle and just
And
hear
yeah,
both at the
both,
same time. That would have been
Yeah, that'd
difficult.
Be, if
That
you're
would
in
have
the
been
car,
my option.
when you're driving in the car and you're like, I can't change the stereo now. I've just got to keep this rolling.
You'd love the second track on the album, Dave. Mick the Clown, bracket, no relation.
You love a no relation.
That's funny. Not as much as Alistair Chalmers Birchall though. Mm-hmm. In his new show, Alistair Chalmers Birchall in Alistair Chalmers Birchall.
No relation.
Good
That's
stuff.
funny.
Hannah Oblivion, you're living your best life. I can absolutely tell that. Thank you so much. And finally, I would like to thank from Wallasey. Wallasey in Great Britain. It is Eleanor Lacey Sloane.
Oh, 3 good names.
ELS.
That sounds like a character in a Poirot book.
Yeah.
Eleanor Lacey Sloane.
Yeah. I like Sloane.
Sloane, is that the name of Diagnosis Murder?
Yeah, Mark Sloane.
Oh.
Dick Van Dyke. Can you work that in somehow? Can you work in Barry Van Dyke? What are we thinking?
That our classic game has been turned into a book by Eleanor Lacey Sloane,
Fuck, marry, kill.
aka Dick Barry Shane.
Dick. Because Dick Van Dyke's the grandfather,
Yeah.
Barry's his son, and Shane is Barry's son.
So it's a game, but
And they were
it's
always
now
on-
played over. There's 11,000 pages worth of different scenarios.
Who was you, Dick, Barry, and Shane?
And it comes with a pen, and you get to fill it all in.
Oh, like a Sudoku book.
Yeah. Most Sudoku books don't come with a pen.
Wow.
That's a little bit of extra added value.
Wow.
Oh, wow. That's yours to do with what you want, that pen.
Yeah.
Thank you so much to Eleanor, Hannah, Edward, Anya, Anthony, James, Olga, John, and Katie. And the last thing we need to do is welcome a few people into the Triptych Club. 3 inductees this week. Now, if you don't know, people who've been on the shout-out level or above for 3 straight years get inducted into this famous club.
Yeah.
It's a theatre of the mind thing. I'm standing at the door. I've got a velvet rope. I'm about to lift it as I read out these 3 names off my clipboard. Jess is inside behind the bar. She's normally got a cocktail going.
Yeah. But it's
What's the
actually,
name of this episode, Dave?
I think I'm going to call it the 1951 Pont-Saint-Esprit mass poisoning.
Okay.
the embarrassing part is, and much like Dave doesn't book the bands ahead of time, I sometimes these are themed, sometimes it's coincidence. I've been doing a bread making course because I thought it would be nice for us to all have some nice crusty bread.
Yeah, I'd love that.
So I've made quite a lot of bread, like too much. It's enough for everybody, but then and then
more.
yeah,
Something to take home.
yeah, but they can't leave.
Oh.
So it's a lot of bread.
Oh no.
And I am worried that after this episode, they're going to be hesitant about the bread.
Come on, it wasn't the bread.
And great fresh bread also, it doesn't last well, does it?
Well, that's why I need everybody to eat up.
Yeah.
But
You have your fill.
But I was like, you gotta have something with the bread. So I have put on soup again, but once again, it is far too hot.
Oh no.
So
Jess.
I'm not having a good day.
It's just not cooling?
It just won't. It just won't cool.
How long have you been leaving it to cool? Is the lid off?
What?
You can take the lid off to
What
help.
do you mean?
That will speed up the cooling
No,
process.
I've left it on the stove and the boiler going.
That could be part of the... Turn the stove off.
No!
I don't... This is the last time did you leave the stove on as well?
Of course!
I thought it was just some sort of a freak soup that couldn't cool down.
Don't call my son a freak soup. Anyway, bit of fun. Eat up.
And Dave, you normally book a band.
Yes, I've actually booked in Real Big Fish.
Oh, getting horny.
Yeah, getting a little bit horny. They're a scat band, I believe.
Yeah.
Is that right, Jess? Scat?
Yes.
Not ska.
Let's
Correct.
sell out tonight.
With me? Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah! All right,
yeah.
fantastic. Are they gonna? What are they gonna play? Their full greatest hits?
Yeah, absolutely. They've got now 1, 2, 3, 4,
That song about
10
beer.
albums. Yeah, gonna have myself a beer.
Gonna do that Aha cover.
Take on me.
Yeah.
All the best.
That's great.
Beer goggles, is that one? No, that's Lagwagon. Anyway, good stuff. Real big fish.
They're going to be covering Lagwagon's beer goggles as well, I've heard.
Yeah.
So just 3 inductees this week. Dave's up on the stage. Now, he's the MC. He's hyping up the crowd. Everyone who's already been inducted is there chanting along, ready to welcome these 3 people in. If you hear your name, run on in and just soak it up.
Yeah.
Jess is also there to keep Dave's spirits up as well. So here we go. Are you ready?
I'm absolutely pumped.
First up from Address Unknown,
Ooh.
it's Arvant Hill.
Ooh.
Arvant Hill. They said, stop that person. I said, I won't. Come on in. As in, I won't. I won't.
Fuck, he's good.
Yeah.
Also
Thank you so much.
from Edgbaston, the famous cricket ground in Birmingham in England, it's Jess Perrin.
Jess Perrin, who is just 2 letters away from Jess Perkins. Come on down, my new favourite Jess.
Get fucked.
my new favourite Jess PER.
That's bullshit.
And
You're
finally,
supposed to support this.
Well, I don't support that one.
finally from Wabash in India.
That's fun.
Indian Nana in the United States, it's Kevin Haggerty.
More like Heaven Caggity.
Yeah.
I'm in Heaven Caggity.
Welcome in, Kevin, Jess, and Avant. Make yourselves at home. Grab
not
some
eat the
soup.
soup.
Oh no, you're
Well,
leaving it on
Jess
the boil.
can. Get rid of that other Jess.
That brings us to the end of the episode, Bob. Is there anything we need to tell people before we go?
That they can suggest a topic over on dogoonpod.com. There's also a link in our show notes. You can find all of our social media at Do Go On across Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. I think there's a TikTok, but you know, we're old and that we love them. That's the other thing.
That's for me as well.
Dave, better time.
Thank you so much for listening. We'll be back next week with another cracking episode. But until then, I'll thank you.
Thank you.
I thank you and goodbye.
Later.
Bye.